And we're live. Hi, everybody.
Hey. It gets more and more low energy every week, baby. Hey.
We do the best we can with what we've got. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Morning
Hi.
Ritual, our TTRPG talk show, uh, where we do chaos things with chaos people, I guess.
Is that our new tag?
I don't know. Could be.
Okay, just checking.
Hi, I'm one of your hosts, Anita. Uh, that's that's me. My pronouns are she, they. Down here, Noir. Uh, you can do your thing.
Oh, I thought you were gonna introduce me. I was okay. No, that's cool. It's fine. Hi, I'm Noir. I
Oh,
go by
thank
he,
you.
they. Like, oh no, that's fine. It's all good. I'm Noir. I go by he, they. I'm the other host. Was there anything else I was supposed to mention?
We have a guest.
What? Oh, I thought I was gonna go back to you and then you do the guess.
Oh, okay. I mean,
No, it's fine. It's fine. I got it. Unless you want to get it.
this is the energy that.
We've done this 50 plus times and we still don't know what the fuck to do. Hi, we also have a very special guest with us. Paladin, tell us about yourself. We gonna make it. We gonna get through this.
We'll get there.
Listen, I believe in us.
I believe in the power of us.
Hi, I'm Paladin. Yeah, that's my name. I don't think the chat box, the screen, what is it called? It's been since I've been on a stream of anything. The captions are going to catch up, but yeah, my name is Paladin. My pronouns are he, him, or Sha and Kanye if you're feeling spicy. I'm a TTRPG creator. I make books. Currently wrapping up a book about spells and a book that is just a bunch of interviews that I did.
Heck yeah. Before we sort of get started into the meat and potatoes of the interview, we have some people to thank, specifically our patrons. So thanks so much to Classical Glyza and Sphinx Roll for being our very first two Patreon sponsors for Morning Ritual. We love you all, and hopefully we'll get some stuff up there pretty soon so we can.
As for the rest of you, what the fuck are you doing? Get your shit together and join our page. Is that not how you advertise?
Is that what that is? Maybe.
You can see the regret in Paladin's eyes. Like, why?
There's no regret here. There's no regret here. There's just this internal shame of I don't think I would do any better or different. Honestly.
We're professionals.
If you like our shit, give us money. Do it.
I think I'm gonna add a lower level tier that just gives you a thanks from us. Because right now I think we've got it starting at like $11.
I love that we have all of our Patreon meetings about how we're gonna run this thing on the show.
Yeah,
every
I
time.
mean, I don't really
have a lower tier that just says thanks, I guess, and then I have a higher tier that just says what the fuck.
I am a professional.
Can we have a lower tier that's just like thanks, I guess, and then another tier just above that one, like get a load of those guys over there.
Like one big arrow, like what a jackass.
Can you believe that Gen Con let us actually host this show at their at the convention?
Live there? I don't. No, I don't. We have a guest or a chat question for our guest, which is Paladin. What are you wearing from one Latia Keys?
Latia, these are glasses. I've worn them before. You've seen me with these.
Well, there you go. There you go, Latia. Whoever you are, I hope that answers your question.
The response from Latia is, "I cannot stand you."
You will not talk to our guest this way, Latia Jaquise, whoever you are. I'm so sorry you had to endure that, Paladin. I don't know what's wrong with our audience today.
Look, you try and put on a brave face in these trying times, and you know, people put a lot of weight into caring about what you wear, what you don't wear. And it's just
Tell them.
It's hard for hot tub streamers like myself to really get anywhere in the world.
Yo, I don't know who this Latia person is, but I don't respect them trying to keep you down, Paladin.
No, AJ, you don't have to swing the ban hammer just yet. I think we can let them off with a warning.
But in all seriousness, no, this is a cardigan from a Malaysian clothing maker. It's like hand stitched, and it's like
it's beautiful.
It's one of the most comfortable things I fucking own. Like it's real. Oof.
I legit thought it was a lumpy space princess cardigan, and I was a little jealous.
No. Whenever I think of Lumpy Space Princess, all I can think of is the episode where like they call all the gems from princesses from their crowns to like a book or something, and they pull out this elongated star chunk column out of her forehead, and it hits the book and then lands on the ground. Because the show will not stop dunking on Lumpy Space Princess, and I'm here for it.
Gotta get a hold of these lumps. I love Lumpy.
It's everything about her is just one elongated, like self-deprecating joke against the guy who voices her. Because it's just Pendleton Ward. It's just him making one long self-deprecating joke about himself. Like,
it makes me irrationally happy watching anything involving Lumpy Space Princess.
For a while, my ringtone for anybody was just Lumpy Space Princess going, ah!
Hey, babe.
We've already lost Noir, and we're 10 minutes in. Less than.
Losing implies that we had him.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm present. I'm accounted for.
Well, you are a present.
You're a gift.
Speaking of gifts, look at this segue. It's about to be fucking
Here
professional. It's
Good
about
job.
to be fucking all-star. Hold on, here we go. Speaking of gifts, last time we had a guest here, Latia Jaquise. You might have heard of her.
That was like I think one of Latia's very first appearances on this show.
Yeah, she mentioned being in a game with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a artifact that I believe it was a coin.
Yeah.
That was attached to some entity that when you flip the coin, the entity, asks you what you want and gives it to you, but it's kind of like a monkey paw situation as far as I understand.
Yeah, it was you'd flip the coin and then there would be this skeleton. For anybody who watches this later on, Latia is typing out "can you not" and then in all caps "can you not."
We do have the chat on the side for the overlay. Thank you.
Yeah. But if you flip the coin, time would stop, and this skeleton man would approach you and ask you what you wanted, and you could ask for anything in the world, but you'd have to give something in exchange, and it'd never be like just gold, It would be whatever seemed funniest or most theatrical to it at the time. But if you got him that thing that he asked for, he'd give you whatever you wanted. The thing is that my players, despite how many times I told them, established rules in their head about how a certain thing works, despite the fact that at every single corner I demonstrated, hey, don't have expectations. Don't try and feel some kind of base familiarity like you've had in other D&D games. I'm not 100% unique, but please understand that you're not going to find familiar ground here.
So when Latia was on the show, we theorized that that the coin could be flipped without the skeleton man showing up.
Sure.
And then
we also theorized that maybe there are ways that this coin works that Latia did not expect.
Yeah, because they assumed that the rule was you flip the coin, time stops, and you can make a bargain. And they assumed that flipping it was the activation to it. I never said that. I just said that, hey, you flip the coin and this thing happens. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like looking at the symptoms of an illness and coming to the wrong conclusion.
So seeing that if you flip the coin and time can stop and the skeleton man comes out, did anyone ask the skeleton man how this coin functions?
Nope.
If they were to have asked the skeleton man how the coin functions, would he have told them?
Probably.
Lucia says that she has to go. She can't stick around anymore for this.
Probably, yeah. But they assumed that that they figured it out, that they deciphered this, and then they stopped worrying about the coin. They just knew, hey, keep it in the box, don't ever flip it.
But then it fell out of the box.
Yes.
Yeah.
Latia asks, why am I always getting ducked on when I'm not even being interviewed? This is ace-phobic.
If I can throw this out there, Latia, you're one of, 5 people? One of whom was playing a character devoted to researching and understanding shit?
Sorry, please continue.
They were too busy failing checks to look at the other artifact you all had.
I know that, but none of them are here.
It feels kind of... That's very much my game style, where I've given my players 2 artifacts. One of them they assume they figured out. One of them they just keep not being able to understand. I'm not working against them, but it's like watching someone spill milk on the staircase and wondering why they keep slipping.
There's nothing better than like going over somebody else's D&D L's.
To Latia's credit, Latia did try and mom the group. In as much as you can mom characters who are either A, deeply traumatized, B, just drunk twinks, and C, nerds.
Well,
that describes most of the TTRPG community right there.
Says that they were fucks.
Yeah.
So can you give us the resolution of what ended up happening with that coin, or is it an ongoing thing?
Oh, we just stopped playing.
Oh.
Yeah. So if we go back to that world, they find that coin again, I get to watch an entirely new group not understand what they're holding.
I hate that that's how so many campaigns end. It's just we just stop playing.
I mean, not to be dramatic about it, but I put a kibosh on it. I have huge issues with DMing for people who only want to DM, who only want to talk to me if it's about D&D.
Oh.
I do it for a job. I do D&D design stuff for a job, and someone just wouldn't talk to me ever. So I just said, "Hey, I'm uncomfortable. I'm done."
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I mean, it's a boundary, and it's important to to defend your boundaries. You know.
Yeah.
Because Lord knows I've had some habitual line steppers on this side of the fence.
Yeah, we've talked about that, buddy.
Yeah, thoroughly.
Yeah.
So now that we've dunked on Latia enough today, I want to move on to another project that you mentioned, which was you're doing a book of interviews with prominent members of the TTRPG community. And I kind of wanted to know what inspired that, who have you talked to, and what was the most surprising interview you had?
To be perfectly honest, I started this. This will be a bit better explanation of it. I went through a bunch of like potential subheaders to the book on the front cover of it, and the one that was there for a while was a Twitter joke that's clearly gotten out of hand. I got frustrated one day while working on my first TTRPG book, and I don't know what was in me. I just said on Twitter, I'm going to make a book where I talk to other designers and what are all the complaints and the bullshit we deal with. And I'm like 60, 70 hours into different interviews and whatnot with a very clear understanding of like a lot of people's lives and the scope of this industry and how things have changed and how success and about the nature of success in this industry and what it actually means to create for profit, what it means to create for fun, and what it means to approach this as a career or as just a side hustle. I can't make jokes on Twitter about making things. I really can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've interviewed people. Let me pull my list here. Like I've interviewed Matthias Hack, who is one of the leads over at Free League. Sorry, I made a cold. I spoke to Daniel Kwan, who is best known for Agent Represent. I spoke to RuneSmith, a YouTuber. I spoke to Emily Care Boss, who is the reason why we have the term bleed in RPGs.
Oh, I didn't know that. I think I know RuneSmith as well. They're a fantastic artist. If there's who I think they are.
No, RuneSmith makes YouTube videos talking about D&D content primarily.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking of someone else entirely.
But yeah, the Emily Care Boss, who like got the term from acting, was over at a TTRPG convention in like somewhere in Europe. And from there, it kind of bled into the industry. I spoke to Daniel Fox. I spoke to James Ventricasso, who I refuse to ever call.
Great person.
I refuse to ever call him James. I always refer to him as Mr. Intricasso. Because for whatever fucking reason is wrong with me internally, I saw on Twitter, like in like late 2019, him talking about how no one ever calls him Mr. Intricasso unless it's like a lawyer or something wanting money from him. Because like you ever like think about it, who calls you by just your last name, like Mr. your last name or Mrs. your last name, and says it with like a cheerful tone?
I mean, that's true. Wasn't there like a Twitter trend going around for a little bit where everybody was James Intricasso?
Yeah, that was I was James Intricasso.
I was like the Enigma Intricasso or something like that for a bit there. I mean, James is an amazing developer. Burn Bright is fantastic, and I believe James is also working on a magazine now.
He now works over at MCDM. He does Arcadia.
Yeah.
And I spoke to all these designers and just, I thought at the very start I would go in with each one of them with like an agenda. I'm going to find out the real truth. I'm going to find out the real stuff going on. I'm going to learn about this industry and I'm going to become powerful. And that flew out the fucking window in first interview. Like right away, I spoke to Banana Chan, who is wonderful.
I love Banana
She is brilliant. She is amazing. She is super into LARP. She spoke to me about a 3-day LARP event called Baphomets in Denmark, where they LARPed out a really realistic murder scene that she really was super into over the dry humping part of that cultish LARP. And I made the offhand joke about how she was talking about how when she was younger, she did some drugs. I would party around a lot and we'd get into weird stuff. And then that weird stuff would be compounded with other weird stuff. And I made the joke of, like doing Percocets and going looking for a cryptid. And her response was, without a beat, PCP, but yeah. So literally all plans I had for anything in this book went out the fucking window.
I adore banana with my whole chest.
Everything that I had planned, fuck it. I had no more plan. I was just so immersed into who the fuck am I actually talking to here? And like I asked questions along the way to different people who I think it's appropriate to ask these certain questions to about like different things in the industry, tips and advice for like scheduling and working with freelancers. And like, you know, if you read the book, I'm sure you can get like some semblance of like how to operate in the TTRPG space and as a designer. But like really, I just found it so fascinating talking to these people and find out who the fuck is making the stuff that we play.
Yeah.
Like I spoke to Shauna Germain over at Monte Cook Games about Junji Ito. I spoke to Jian Shim about the absolute bullshit 3.5 D&D.
Wait, okay, you're gonna have to elaborate.
No, I just like we got on the topic of D&D and 3.5 D&D, and like I was talking about some of the I don't want to say insane because I'm trying to be better about my language.
Yeah.
But some of the very absurd builds in 3.5.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like Trouser Fang the Dwarf.
Or Sir Barrington.
I know Sir Barrington quite well. Noir, I feel like you're holding back a question.
No, I know Travis State. I hate it, but I know it.
Yeah. And literally just I don't know, there were just conversations with these different people. In 1 week I interviewed Gabe Hicks, and I interviewed the people behind Morkborg, Johan and Pelle. Morkborg. By the way, it turns out that none of us Americans are pronouncing it correctly.
Oh, how is it supposed to be pronounced?
They wouldn't tell me. They said, don't worry about it. Everybody mispronounces it. I'm like, fucking goddamn it.
Well, then
Tell me, Johan.
So that I can be better. I'd like to be better than the average American.
I think they're laughing at us, and they refuse to like get rid of the joke by teaching us the right way to say it.
Yeah.
So many people cannot pronounce it properly that they just don't care about it anymore. But you know,
they just fucking Morkborg. What the fuck are we supposed to do?
I don't know. But no, I spoke to those three in the same week, and like both of them had a very I don't know if you noticed this about me like around like April of last year, but like I got super into like really delving into my community and uplifting other people and making sure other people know that they can make whatever they want to make, and very much being very vocal about supporting other people. And I was going to talk to those three assholes. Because like with both conversations, it got into the topic of like what it means to actually be a part of a community, and just sort of saying the community, actually treating it like a space of people who you do care about and are neighborly to, as opposed to just people you are around and just say that you're friends with. It's kind of like being nice or just being kind, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's a far change from how we present this community on Twitter. That's for goddamn sure.
I don't pretend. I rarely use the term community online because I know what's up. If I talk about people and supporting them, I'm genuinely into what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
But like I'm talking to the writer of Morkborg, and he was talking about, yeah, during the night I'd be writing about how to kill people, and during the day I would be researching how to save people, because he researches COVID.
As his day-to-day job?
Yeah.
Oh, how can he still have faith in humanity?
Because he's a caring individual, and they're some of the loveliest people. And I after that week, I was just like, community is an actual word with meaning. I cannot just say that word willy-nilly. Yeah, no, every single interview that I did really changed my core body temperature, I want to say.
So I have to ask you, because you've talked to so many people. And
I'm so powerful right now.
I mean, truly, you've collected all 6 Infinity Stones. What interview surprised you the most? Like, what interview went completely left in, like, the best way to you? I mean, I think PCP is up there. Like that would have got me. Just imagine. But then it's just pushing cards over looking for a cryptic.
I mean, full disclosure, all of them were pretty shocking. All of them were kind of weird. I guess the two that got me the most was my first interview with Matthew Mercer, and finally my interview with Lucia Bristol.
Lucia, bring me in on that one.
Lucia
Seer Sword. Okay.
She is the main director for Sina Una.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Matthew Mercer's was surprising just because he's the only person who had audio issues. Only one.
You know, I'm not surprised.
I am.
I am.
I have to say, like, I love Brandon. Brandon was the only one that we had mic issues too, so it's just like
Jesus. But no, that one just got to me because, like, back then I was very much still a relative unknown in the industry. Like, I was more of a sideshow attraction rather than just someone to actually take seriously and be threatened by. And the interview with Lucia I did very recently. It's the last one I did. I knew right away that hers would be the last one I did. For the record, when I think, I don't think in words. I think in impulses and kind of like stage play, theatrics and images.
Okay.
So every now and then I'll just think, this one last. I think, okay, makes sense to me. I don't question it. And that was it with Lucia's interview. But I did Lucia's interview last, which I'm very thankful for. It turns out that was the right decision. But I don't know. I work with Lucia so constantly. And she is someone who is the entire reason I'm able to work in this industry at all. Truly, at all. Without her, I'd still be nobody. And I got to talk to her after doing this huge book of interviewing different people. And I got to see what the past years have been like for her. It was just really eye-opening. Because, like, working on Sina Una was intense. And I got to the point where right after we finished working on the book, both of us independently were thinking, am I not going to be able to talk to my friend anymore? Because both of us, the emotions ran high on it. Like, you can work on stuff for fun, or you can work on stuff that matters a lot to you. And when you work on stuff that matters a lot to you, you get so tied up into it that you put a large part of your own identity into what you're making. And so you can't help but just feel so close and so attached and so personal to it. And the emotions with the last end of making the book ran so high, and we were just kind of like grading against one another because we were constantly having to talk to each other about the book, that near the very end when we finished up, we were just both wondering, did I just lose my friend?
Because was it that you weren't sure if there was the friendship or if it was just like the work relationship?
We were getting so tense and nervous and anxious about the project that it bled into us being friends.
Okay, that's awesome.
And so when we finished up, we thought the other person truly just was fed up with the other. And we seriously thought that this would be the last time we'd ever talk again. And for a month afterwards, we talked about the status of having of the hardcovers for our book. But by and large, we just thought, we're done here.
Well, luckily, it seems that turned out not to be the case, especially with that interview kind of bringing you all back together through that.
Yeah, around May of last year, we really talked about it, realized we were both kind of in the same boat, started talking again. We started working on, I brought her in as a guest designer for another book that I'm wrapping up right now. And I interviewed her like a couple weeks ago.
That's awesome. Well, so after doing this process of like getting all these people together, having these interviews, writing them out, editing it, all of it. What's your main takeaway from this?
People are fucking weird.
You're not wrong.
People have their own absurdities
right?
and oddities and like strangenesses to them, and they are by and large ignored for whatever reason you want to pick. Like roll a Jeopardy wheel about it and decide what your reasoning is. It's probably going to be valid in one way or another. But truly, people are just strange beings, and game designers generally don't get to express who they actually are outside of their work. Because a lot of the time, people talk in interviews if they're a game designer only about their upcoming project, as if they're only doing one elongated sales pitch for a good hour. I'm not wrong, you know.
You're not.
Yeah. But
I mean,
I would just be talking to these people and realize, oh, they've never been able to talk about just themselves or their history or their life, but they have to be like kind of public figures about what they're working on. And what a weird juxtaposition that is.
I mean, it's always strange to me when we have game designers on, or like somebody that has like a major success thing, and the conversation strays away from that. They kind of light up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like we ended up talking with Sarah Thompson about Star Wars, and that was like one of my favorite conversations. It had nothing to do with the combat wheelchair. It's just like, and by God, talk about somebody that knows Star Wars. Just throwing that out there.
It's perfect. I love getting on someone's hyperfixation and they'll just go.
Oh yeah. Well, like I worked on this book about Filipino culture mythology, and I still to this day I wish I had a shorter way of saying that. But you know, a lot of people interviewed me about it because the first time someone had done 4th edition D&D, a book by POC of the same ethnicity, working on a book that uses their heritage, right? Some other people have done different similar things in different systems, but for D&D, it's sort of the first, I want to say. And people really want to talk to me about that, and I'm so happy that we did. It's part of the marketing that we did for it. I got to meet a lot of great, wonderful people. But Jesus Christ, I got asked the same questions.
Can I take a guess at what some of the questions are?
Sure, but do you really want to win?
No, but I want to play.
You should try Dark Souls, buddy.
I don't want to win, but I want to play. Can I, as a white?
No, actually, I didn't get that one. I didn't get that one.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, I was good. Can I, as a white, play and utilize Cena Una at my table?
Someone clip that out of context.
Do it. Do
That's
it.
not the full question, just can I
as a white?
But no, it was like, what was the research like? And you're all Filipino. And what's it like for you to really present your heritage? And
sorry, did somebody actually ask you if everybody was Filipino after
yeah,
y'all
like,
said
this
is an all
confirmation.
Filipino book?
It's a thing as like a prompt and conversation piece. Not like, and everybody's Filipino. No, it's like, and like you said, everybody's Filipino.
I don't believe you.
I mean, eat my ass, shorty. But no, I got asked very similar questions nonstop, and like they asked me a couple questions about me, but even then they were kind of similar. And no offense to them, it's just after a while, some interviews just got very routine, you know.
What is your inspiration behind Cena Una?
I'm gonna stab you when you go to sleep tonight, Noir. I'm gonna find you. I live on the West Coast, but I'm gonna find you.
Did you discover anything new about yourself while researching Cena Una?
But like you understand that if you're asked the same things over and over and over and over and over and over, if you kind of feel like that one like SpongeBob fish in the montage of like staring straight forward and like being in traffic and waking up and eating breakfast and getting in traffic and going to work and going home and eating dinner and looking out the window at night, and then waking up and eating breakfast and going in this car and going to work and going home and looking at the window at night, like over and over and over, it feels a bit repetitive. And like, I don't know, like starting last year, whenever I did an interview, I would just talk and ramble. I'd do whatever I can to fill time, just to talk my piece and just discuss things. Last year, right before I launched the Kickstarter for Incantations, I got not like mean flippant, but I got kind of flippant with one interviewee, with one interviewer, where I just said, yeah, I've kind of lived my life how I deemed fit, and faced the consequences and the benefits of that. I'm kind of happier for it. I'm sure he had a list of questions, but I just spoke a lot.
How do you feel about the success of Sina Una?
I'm actually going to respond to that one seriously. I know you meant it as a bit, but I don't want to talk about it seriously. It's wild, honestly. It's wild to be known in more than one country. It's wild to be getting messages on the weekly now. Before it was on the daily, but on the weekly, about like what it's like for people to really see themselves in fictional media, especially in D&D. I don't keep up with the streamed episodes of Critical Role, but when Sina Una appeared on Critical Role, as said by Sam Riegel, and pointed out that it's awesome by Matthew Mercer, I instantly got like 20 messages on Discord, and I thought that I'm fucked up somehow. Like I was playing some game, and I got a Discord notification like who's that? And then instantly it went from 1 to just. I'm like, did I say a slur somewhere and someone found out? What? Is this where it's like, what is going on? But no, it's just Sam Riegel and Cassie.
They finally found the secret page of the Sina Una book that's just filled with the N-word.
AJ, if you're a chat, grab your copy.
Who told you?
We're told.
There's a rat on the staffing room. In the writing room.
It was Wasa. I play in a game with them.
I run off screen on the left. I show up behind you at the window, just jumping through.
You saw nothing.
but no, it's been wild. I'm glad of it because like the thing people don't really understand is that Lucia was 18 when she started the project, and she's 22 as of this year.
Oh
wow.
Yeah. At the time when she found me, I was doing freelance graphic design. And the moment that I knew that I needed to just keep doing TTRPG stuff and keep working with Lucia as often as I can was the fact that 4 men who ran a gun store on the border of New York and Canada paid me $200 via a check, like a physical check. Whereas Lucia paid me a couple grand to go to conventions and talk to people and make sure that I can get safe lodging and eat while I'm traveling abroad, talking about a book. Yeah. Lucia went so far into debt to make Sina Una happen. Not like debt, but like she put a lot of money forward into the book and into me, trusting that I just kind of do the right thing.
I mean, that talk about a hell of an investment in a passion project. God damn.
Yeah.
Like everybody says they want to do shit.
Yeah.
But then like you see somebody actually come out there and do shit. It's wild.
Yeah, you know what happens when you like do shit and you elevate people? I'm what happens. I arrive.
Oh, so we got to stop supporting each other.
yeah. Cut it off.
But no, just I really wouldn't be anywhere in life if not for Lucia taking a chance on me.
Now that is incredible. I mean, It's incredible in the sense that I've only ever known you as like a TTRPG writer, and it's very strange to imagine you not being that.
Yeah, by and large, I generally what's the one I want to use here? I generalize myself professional TTRPG work as just a piece of shit.
You said something very interesting, which is like you felt the moment where you went from being just a piece of shit to like being an entity in the space, like to being known in the space. I was wondering if you could do like clarify or kind of bring us into that moment where you realize like, oh, I am a member of this community. I am someone of note.
It started a little bit at PAX U 2019, where I managed to slip into a sort of influencer party for different TTRPG folks. You know? And a bunch of people knew about me and were mildly intimidated by me. Just in a broad set. Huh?
I was gonna say must be nice. You know,
it's fucking weird. It's fucking weird, bud. Because I didn't know who any of these people were. Some of whom I would become friends with later on. Some of whom I would interview in my book. But by and large, I didn't really give a shit. It was just someone was like walking around introducing me to people and saying, "This is Paladin. He's working on this Filipino D&D book with a team of all Filipino people." And like seeing the look in people's eyes of just like, what the fuck is that? What? Because like, you know, again, name another group of people who did something similar to Cine Uno for their own culture, you know?
Have you seen anybody kind of take up the cause afterwards? Have you seen
I've seen people fail? It's real fucking depressing.
As Black guy, I'm just kind of looking over at the Motherland's crew like, y'all gotta get this. Y'all gotta get this. We can't be out here taking an L.
And the very serious part of it is that very early on, I instilled in my team of we can't fuck up. The moment we fuck up, we make things harder for the next generation. If we mess up at all, we don't become a victory. We become another footnote in a long history of mistakes. And we can't change that. If we don't do this right, if we don't do this well, if we don't do this in the best possible way, it's not as though we wasted our time. It's that we became a detriment to people who are going to be our descendants, who we are going to become ancestors to. And that's a fucking weight.
Yeah, you don't want to be that thing that some white guy on Twitter with the anime avatar points to.
Yeah, no, you really don't. You don't want to become a viable argument for first name bunch of numbers.
Yeah.
It just became this otherworldly pressure. And, you know, some people will talk to me, and I'll talk to people in different teams about what it's like working on this kind of stuff. And the flat point of it that I bring up is you got to be ready to change. Because by and large, people have never worked on something that gets so close to home so incredibly quickly. Like, you see the reaction that people had to the one Filipino character in Craig of the Creek, right? Where they recently had a character be very visibly Filipino on a kids show on Cartoon Network, and all it was like measuring out water when you're using a rice cooker, using pandesal, some dialectics, and like some large cooking implements on the wall. People went wild over very little things representation, because by and large, we're starving. By and large, we're very much starving for it.
Yeah.
Right.
And when they feed you crumbs, you feast.
Yeah. You assume that the crumb is the feast when someone else has actual fucking bread. But I tell people that you have never done anything like this, and you have to be prepared to be the person that the book needs you to be. And I so often I get people responding of, you know what? I am ready. I can do it. I've seen people fuck it up. I have seen one person ruin all social credentials they have. I've seen one person have their flaws become too big and the project shut down because they just couldn't keep their shit together. The third person messaged I've been talking to messaged me after a week of silence going, hey, you were right, gonna step down, thank you for telling me ahead of time. Which is like,
wow,
cool, but also fuck, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I I can name a project that I had huge faith in, for representing, like, you know, an Afrocentric future, and it just
Yeah. If your character isn't right, it's gonna get revealed. If you can't behave, if you can't become someone stronger for the sake of others, then you can't make these things. You know, I was at OrcaCon in Seattle earlier in the month, and I was on a panel about decolonizing RPG design, and I got asked like what was the hardest part about working on, you know, Sina Una, and my answer was it hurt. It really fucking hurts nonstop nearly all the time because I was embracing the characters that I should have had in the first place that no one would let me have access to because I couldn't have access to it as a kid, and that fucking sucked. And realizing all these things that I was and could be and had heritage towards, and recognizing that I was denied it growing up, it hurt. It wasn't like an emotional pain. It was causing me physical pains. I'd be laid out for hours in bed just thinking about what I could have been and what I could have had. And one person on the panel 2 seats away from me said, yeah, I started dealing with some of that pain too, and I had to stop. Like, motherfucker. Damn it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that just that moment kind of shows, like, if you're willing to go that extra mile, go and deal with that pain, then you open up access for for people that are starving for what you're creating. Like, it's the only way I can describe it is just like you have to be a starving chef, you know, like you're cooking this beautiful meal that you would love to have for yourself while starving so that everybody else can eat. And it's really kind of fucked up in that way. But I did want to ask another question, because one of the things that I have seen with ambitious projects like this is that scaling is another issue. Like, you know, when is enough? When do you know that you have enough content? Like, how do you make sure that you're not shooting for like the sun when shooting for the moon will do?
I couldn't tell you. Originally, Sina Una was supposed to be one island, maybe like 2 or 3 monsters. Originally, then it became like, oh, we should like we could do 2 classes, you know, some subclasses for those 2 classes, and maybe like a dozen or so monsters. And now we have like feats and spells and magic items and artifacts and 50 plus monsters and 12 subclasses and 2 new base classes, each with their own subclasses, and 7 islands. And
jeez.
Yeah, it's a 336 page book.
So, I mean, I guess fuck shooting for the moon. Grab that stuff. Grab that sun.
Yeah, no, it became a thing about we knew we couldn't do a sequel. We had to put everything we could into this one book, and it came out to be 336 pages, and there's still stuff we cut.
I mean, so with that, Sina Una is clearly a success. Like, people, there is definitely a want for it. There is a space in the space for it. Mm-hmm. How do you take that reception as anything other than a sign for a sequel?
I mean, we didn't make it for money, is the thing.
Okay.
Like, Lucia is just now able to make back the money that she put into the book. I got paid a flat amount, and I have a career. Some people are using their credentials in Sina Una to get future jobs. I still hire and work with some of the artists on Sina Una. And for anybody involved, it's a very large and very proud accomplishment and a listing on their resume. One of our writers used it as part of their application to their first like big writing job. That wasn't just freelance. We never felt the need to do a sequel. We'd made one thing and we've made it well, and we're satisfied.
I dig that. I dig that. So, I have to ask you, because we're getting close to our hour mark, so we're gonna get ourselves prepped for a break. But there are a few questions that I need to ask you before we go on break. So to wind away from the earnestness of our Sina Una discussion, I'm going to ask you a truly ridiculous but very serious question. There is a war in the TTRPG community right now, Paladin, and I need to know what side of this war that you're on. You see, there are those who believe that dice are the forbidden candies and that they belong in your mouth to be crunched on. And then there are others of us that are a little bit more responsible that say, don't put dice in your mouth, stupid. It's a choking hazard and it'll fuck up your teeth. So, Paladin, are you on the side of Crunch Crew or are you on the side of Stop the Crunch?
I think if you have to consider biting down on dice to consume them, I think you're a coward. You don't love your dice enough. I say this as someone who has full-on swallowed a polyhedral set. Do you want the answer? Do you want context?
Yes, please.
Are you sure?
Yes
At
and
this
no.
point, it's morbid curiosity. Let's just go for it.
I have to know, but I don't want to know. But let's.
$500.
Somebody dared you. Somebody bet you $500.
Yeah.
To consume an entire set of dice.
Yeah.
Not candy dice.
Not candy dice.
There's a new side in this war.
We are not promoting swallow the set. That had to come out of you at some point.
Yeah.
Did you roll high?
D4 though, that's pointy.
The D4 isn't the problem.
Oh no.
It's the D6.
Because it's a cube.
It has a very wide, flat surface.
This did not go the way I planned for this episode.
Here's the thing. Here's the fun thing. Here's the fun thing. I tell people that I take a lot of joy in being strange and kind of unknowable, because no matter what I tell people about my life, it never provides any further knowledge about me or any comfort. It just provokes more questions.
This is ruined my day. You you
$500
$500 though. For $500, would you crunch a die?
No, I would not.
That's like half your rent.
Yes, I bamboozle for money, but both of those things are edible. Dice or not. You gotta poop out a D4, man. If you think stepping on a D4 hurts, imagine it coming out your asshole.
Here's the thing. My father played D&D, and he had some of the very first early sharp edge dice sets. And we're talking like, not like, oh, we have these molds that are kind of sharp, that are kind of like sharp or more pointed. I mean, we machine filed these to a tip, kind of sharp. There's an indent in my skin on my heel where I stepped on one of those D4s and it pressed in the bone of my heel.
Who looks at a D4 and goes, you know what? That could be sharper. You know what a sharp D4 is called? A fucking caltrop.
Yeah. You ever like step on something, like you ever step on a coin and it becomes like kind of flush with your skin?
Yeah.
Imagine a D4 becoming flush with your skin.
So are you on side crush to tie? Stop the crush.
I think we've created a new side here.
No, we are not.
We
are not allowing for set swallowers. This is not.
I have a worse name for it if you want.
I'm the Swallow Savior, okay? No war.
The Swallow Savior. Hashtag crunch for cash. Down it for dollars.
You know what's funny about all of this, about Noir being in like actual physical fucking pain right now? I never said how big they were.
Were they a mini set or were they a full size set?
They're one of the mini sets.
Okay, that's something.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Paladin swallowed for our sins.
No, I swallow so I can afford some really nice absinthe.
Why would you do that? I don't care if they're mini. It's the principle of the thing.
I feel like you haven't lived enough, man.
You know why I keep living? Because I don't swallow dice or crotch them. Hashtag stop the crotch.
Bitch, I'm right here.
Stop the crotch. That why would you do that? Sounded so hurt. I am hurt. Because I thought this was a binary war. And now there's a fucking third sect of just chaos lords going, crotch it, fuck that, gulp.
I don't know how to say what I'm thinking because I might hurt Noir some more.
Swallow D6. That's the Eucharistic prayer for the Swallow Savior. We are not creating a faux religion around swallowing dice.
What do you mean faux?
We are not doing this. Now people are going to build the hard dice. Edible, please. No, don't sit. I mean, send me dice. But
don't expect them to get swallowed or eaten.
There's no way I can live this. This is just bad all the way around.
Listen, on Dimension 20, sometimes they say swallow your fucking dice to Bradley Mulligan, and he eats some candy dice. I'm just ahead of the curve.
Candy dice is edible. They're meant to be eaten. They're meant to be swallowed. Stop hashtagging Swallow Savior. It's not a thing.
Also, maybe don't Google that either, because that might come up with some weird results.
Well, now I've got.
I also don't. I also can't stress enough how much I don't want Swallow Savior to be Googled, and for my handle to come up. You know?
I think I'm gonna need you to change your Twitter handle.
Swallow Savior.
You're no longer HTTPaladin. You are now the Swallow Savior.
I feel like Swallow Savior would be a very valid name for someone trying to do parody porn of Christ.
That's what I was thinking.
The riddle of the Savior and the Swallow. Huh.
Oh.
Is this gonna inadvertently teach me some shit?
I like how we're watching Noir actively watch porn.
No, it's an actual African riddle.
Sure. You're very focused on it.
Very learning. They're learning.
Yeah, well, it's also a recipe where people put swallow in soup.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
I might as well ask you the other questions that we ask guests now, because how more off the rails can we fucking go?
Let's go.
You want to go?
You can play with any 5 people in any TTRPG that you want to. You get to pick who's the GM. The only stipulation is they have to be alive. Who are you picking?
Fuck!
Yes. This question always gets that reaction.
5 people, anybody that wants.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't my answer, but I think it'd be really funny to watch Vin Diesel play D&D with The Rock.
Oh my god, they hate each other so much.
They hate each other so much, but it's not as if The Rock would want to lose. You know?
You can't lose.
Vin Diesel has an entire movie where he's just playing his D&D character, but as a human.
Yeah.
Okay? That is the entire plot of The Last Witch Hunter, by the way. It's just Vin Diesel's D&D character, flat out. Which is the most 5-dimensional chess move I've ever fucking seen, by the way.
Correct.
Take that, Legend of Vox Machina.
Yeah. No, but people that I would actually want to play D&D with very seriously. I would.
It doesn't have to even be very seriously. It could just be some sort of off the rails chaos lord answer.
No, I want to at least answer one more question, kind of seriously.
Like how Anita's trying to push you towards the chaos. You fucking enabler.
Stroke my cat like I'm a supervillain.
Fuck, man. I hate being the kind of person who goes like, oh, I don't know, but I don't have any good answer about this.
I'm trying to see if we can remember any of our past guests. I know that one guest had Elvira and Dolly Parton together. A lot of people picked Vin Diesel.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course they do.
Know that I would want to play with Vin Diesel just because he's a celebrity that plays D&D.
I wouldn't be playing it for fun.
Okay.
If I was going to play with Vin Diesel, I would be playing for fun. I'd be playing to see the discomfort on other people's faces. Have you seen that man in any kind of interview?
No.
He is like a drunk uncle hitting on younger women. He's just not all present, it feels. And it feels like he's operating on a reality that we can only dream of sometimes.
Okay, I feel that. That.
Like he operates on like on a Snooki level of being unaware.
Oh my god!
I have a friend who works at MTV, and he said that Snooki is the most unself-aware person he's ever met. And I think Vin Diesel comes close.
God, I haven't heard the word Snooki in a very long time. I wonder whatever happened to Snooki.
I don't care.
Wouldn't it be wild if Snooki was a fucking mayor or something?
I think she's a mom or something.
All I know is that in 2019, I saw on Twitter some dude schooling some politician hard on policies and legalities and some very complicated laws. And I looked to see who it was, and it was one of the dudes from Jersey Shore schooling someone on law on Twitter. And I thought, wow, anything can happen. The world's a lawless place, and we are just here to vibe and perish one day.
Yo, I want a reality show that's basically the real world, but they have to play a game of Dungeons and Dragons every episode.
I want to see an episode of the real world where everybody is told that there is one taser in the house.
I don't think that's legal. I don't think they can do that.
It would be illegal to put one there. But have you seen the people who go on real world? Because either A, they go, no, you can't legally put a taser in here and crash the ratings, or they play along with it and improve the ratings and freak the fuck out because, oh my God, there's a taser in here, guys. So even if someone thinks, oh, there's no way there's a taser in here, like you did, they can't crash the show because this is their livelihood. So they have to go along with the fantasy that there's a taser hidden in the house.
What kind of sick, twisted experiment are you trying to run on? I just wanted a show where we saw people having to live together and play Dungeons and Dragons. You're like, and also murder.
It wouldn't be murder. It's watching people panic as they have to go along with the skit. Like, whose life is it anyway but people panicking about their paycheck and, like, next meal?
Like,
Marshadi has upped your game and says that a real world show where there's an equal amount of tasers per person, but only one works.
Okay.
What the fuck are we pitching here right now?
I don't know. This is
the fucking dream, Noir.
Only one of them gets to leave alive. And who's your kid? Did you look up what Snooki's up to now? And does Snooki really run a store called the Snooki Shop? And what would one sell at a Snooki Shop?
Just wondering.
Bobbleheads of Snooki.
Oh, wines?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine just walking into a store, like even a bodega-sized store, and having every shelf filled with just the same bobblehead of Snooki?
I think that's what hell is.
Because this is so unhinged. This is so unhinged. There's an Instagram for the Snooki Shop.
Oh my god, you're right.
AJ just dropped the link in chat. Thank you for that. Information that I didn't know that I needed to know.
Is that what Snooki looks like now? Huh.
Let me see this.
I hate that I know this. I hate that this is in my brain now.
But thinking realistically, I would probably want to play D&D, probably with some cast members from Smosh.
Yeah.
Partially to redeem myself in the eyes of Shane Top.
To redeem yourself?
So I went to Lost Odyssey with Lucia back in 2019, like when it was like at a theater and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
We were walking around beforehand. We happened to see Shane Top just like doing a talk show with some of his friends. And it was one of those talk shows where anybody could like walk in and sit down with them and be part of the show, just kind of improv, just interviewing some strangers. And I didn't learn how to talk to people then. I was still awkward as shit. And so I flubbed up a couple sentences because I just didn't know how to talk to people still because I was getting out of my hermit mode. And I hope that he doesn't remember me. I want to meet him again, but be be like a real boy, be like a real person.
I have to ask Sage if Shane remembers this story.
I don't want him to. He doesn't deserve that. But no, like I know Damien House is getting into D&D, but Shane Top would be fun to play with. I would love to play D&D with Miley Cyrus because I think she's on that level of reality where she doesn't really have to care about a lot of stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Like not only child star, but like teenage mega pop star. Like, and it's at such a level of identity of your career where in order to fully break away from being, Hannah Montana, you have to make Wrecking Ball. Consider this. She made like an album after like she got all the Hannah Montana stuff, right? And it was like had Party in the USA. But everybody was like, oh, look, it's Hannah Montana all grown up. Can you imagine how frustrating that would be? Like, so imagine if you were a kid and people were like, oh, look, it's Little Nightshade. You're like, stop calling me Little Nightshade. My name's Noir now. Like, imagine you couldn't outgrow the impression of your childhood.
My Disney Channel would be Nightshade? That's a fucking badass. I want to be Nightshade forever.
Sure, but imagine you wanted to grow past being a kid, past being seen as a kid, but people only kept on calling you just by your kid name, right? And like that kind of happening, I feel like with Miley Cyrus, where like she was making music and making albums, but people were like, compared to her time as Hannah Montana when you're just released part of the USA, right? How frustrated would you be? Yeah, it is, but imagine how frustrated it would be to make part of the USA and have people go, Hannah Montana's growing up. Imagine making a full-ass song about breaking out of your cage and growing up and becoming a woman, where you have a huge music video where you have like CGI wings and shit, and people go, oh, look, Hannah Montana's a real girl now, and like you have no other option, so of course you make Wrecking Ball.
I just love the idea that Wrecking Ball in your mind was inevitable.
It's kind of like how Daniel Radcliffe did Ekus. Adam just pointed out in chat. You're right, though.
I mean,
yeah. Imagine being called Harry Potter. Imagine being Harry Potter for your young adult life, and then being like, you know what? I figure that now. I'm gonna be like near naked or naked on stage on like a theater. Let's fucking go. I'm gonna become the Swiss Army Man now, where my corpse is shitting someone to safety. Like, people there, if you have such an impression of you that people hold in their mind about you, getting away from that is hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like Noir, our first time meeting was me yelling at someone we know, going, "Hey, I like your hoodie." That was our first time meeting, right? And then
I'm remembering the first time we met.
Was me lightly harassing your friend. And then we played in a stream game together, and I fucking snapped at you. Like,
good times, you fucking son of a bitch.
Breaking out of first impressions is so incredibly difficult, right? Like, some people online know me as like, my name is Paladin. I made Sina Una. Did you know that you have emotion? Let's talk about that. I talk in full punctuation marks. I'm going to text you and think everything's fine, but you're going to think, am I being grilled right now? It's hard to break out of the impressions people form with you, especially if they don't know you.
Your table consists of Shade Top and Miley Cyrus. In a million years, I would not have guessed that those would be two names that you had on your table.
The third name is Childish Gambino. Like, anybody,
this is a wild fucking table.
anybody who aspires to be known or to be a creator, I feel should have to listen to his album Camp, because there's a line in Camp where he says, where these people are blowing up his phone and trying to talk to him, and girls who he was super into are now like sending him nudes and stuff. But he responds to that with, I still dress the same. My nose is still funny. I still talk the same way. What's changed? And he talks about how he'll be around all these popular people and he'll still feel alone, and he'll miss the people who he actually cares about. Anybody who tries to be a figurehead or tries to be in the public eye should listen to Childish Gambino, or at least watch Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta is amazing. I also recommend watching his early YouTube comedy stuff with Derek's Comedy, because and some of it didn't age
some
well.
Some of it doesn't age well.
One thing in particular did not age well.
Correct.
There's a spelling bee that's a little rough.
Oh no, there's one that's worse than that.
It bro?
Yes.
Something? Yeah.
Yes. But I will still watch and rewatch their skit about Thomas Jefferson being an immortal time walker, and how the only thing that changes in the universe is Jeremy's hot licks and how they're terrible in a uniquely different way each iteration of time, and also they're fucking. I will rewatch. If I could only watch one video for the rest of the time, I would rewatch that and make analysis videos of that until I turn 80.
My favorite is the "Don't jerk off to this picture of a fruit bowl" skit.
God. Bringing back a lot of memories. But yeah, no, from there I know I could pick out some kind of like famous person, whatever they'd be particular. Like, yeah, no. Shane Top, Miley Cyrus, Donald Glover.
I feel like your table is almost like achievable for you. Like, you could probably make this happen.
I'm so flattered by that, But the day that I have the reach to pull down Donald Glover is the day I attack and dethrone God. Not even as a meme.
So next Tuesday, right?
Fucking hell. Yeah, just like, bye, champs. I'm off to kill God. Yahweh, more like my way. Like, and I'm going to hell now.
This table is fucking lit though. So Shade Top, Miley Cyrus, Childish Gambino. The last two almost don't matter. These three are so fucking fire, but I'm curious.
I don't even fucking know, man. Fuck, I don't know. I don't plan ahead. I don't plan things out in advance far enough.
I love this question. It puts motherfuckers under pressure.
You could always cheap out and say that it's The Rock and Vin Diesel just because they hate each other.
But no, like people by and large in front of this question with like a bunch of famous people to try and like appear like they have some kind of plan. They don't. Or we're going to try and name someone truly avant-garde, and in which case they're trying to appear cool. I'm just thinking, who would I genuinely want to spend a couple hours with bonding? Who could I stand to become intimate with in a setting and an environment? I don't want to just name some names to be cool. Fuck being cool. I'm so tired of trying to be cool. I spent 25 years trying to be cool. I'm just trying to just take it easy at this point. You know?
But when I picked my five, I was picking who I thought would end up telling the best story together. So
Why? Are you in a competition with someone?
No. I want to be lost in a world that is just like nobody else will get to experience that again. You know?
You will have that with anybody you play with, though.
But like it's like I truly love Ava DuVernay's mind. Like everything she puts out is fantastic. And I love TTRPG. So I'm just like, if you put that level of creativity in TTRPG, what could she do? I want to see it. I want to see the baby. Like I want
real quick, pause. I got a question. Who's your kid? Most people. I haven't played with most people. People don't invite me to shit. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I don't get to play a lot. I have to make my own stuff. I have to do my own projects because I don't really get invited to do anything. And then it's like, hey, Paladin made a thing. Oh, I want to play a Paladin. I want to invite Paladin to do some writing, but you know, clearly Paladin's busy. He made his own stuff. I only made my own stuff because they didn't get invited. It's a catch-22. Invite me to your shits.
I feel that.
Yo, we have had this with so many people on the show where it's just like you bring on somebody that's like fucking dope as shit, and you're like, man, you must have played with everybody. They're like, nobody invites me. Yo, invite Paladin. You fuck.
Invite Paladin to
Actually,
your games.
Sorry, hold on. Yeah. I'm not so right. Someone clip it. I'm posting it to Twitter. I'm fucking tired of saying it online and being like very like calm level-headed about it. Fuck it. As of this week, I'm feral.
You're now feral? You mean you weren't feral when you ate the fucking dice?
No.
Oh my god. We gotta get this motherfucker in some games. We don't know what they're capable of. And honestly, I'm too scared to find out.
Like, Noir, you've seen my work ethic when it comes to my projects. You've seen what the inspiration for incantations was. It was literally just some cliff note of like, what if rituals but for 5e?
You know, I've got a one shot that I'm doing some casting for. Let me hit you with some details.
Yeah, let's fucking go.
Let's fucking do this.
And I know it's going to be a little chiller because I'm not going to be only POC, and neither will you.
We not letting you jump out though. Who your last two?
You have two options for clips. You have invite me to your games and invite him, you cowards, I believe.
I like how you censored it because it does not say invite me to your games.
I can't actually see what it says because it cuts off.
It says invite me to shit.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, kinda. Do you know how much time I spend bored doing nothing, waiting on editors and whatnot? It's a lot. It's more than 5 hours.
Honestly, I thought you were just in all the shit.
No, Noir. Consider, what have you seen me in?
I know that you've got a game going with Latia and Critical Bart. You're seeing an Una game.
Yeah, we're on hiatus right now, and we're resuming in a couple of days.
I didn't know you guys are on hiatus.
Yeah, we've been on hiatus, and the reason you don't know us is because you don't watch us.
I mean, you're not wrong. I don't watch Maybe Actual Plays.
Don't worry about it. There's so many of our like circle of friends and peers and acquaintances are in so many shit that's like
it's impossible.
I'm gonna wish them well, but I don't have enough space for y'all. I think it'd be cool actually to play with Valkyrie.
Valkyrie? How do I know that name?
Really big streamer. 100 Thieves owner.
Huh. Okay. Well, I don't know that person, but I'm gonna have to check them out. I've officially thrown in the towel. I can't keep up with Critical Role. I haven't watched any of season 3 or campaign 3. I ain't got it. I didn't watch any of Alexandria. I don't know.
Exandria.
I didn't watch any of that. There's so much. There's too much.
Oh, Abria. I would play with Abria. Genuinely, we're mutuals on Twitter. We've talked for a little bit here and there. We have similar interests. I would like to play with Abria. Not
play with Abria one time. It was awesome.
Not for the memes. Not for just to say like, oh yeah, it's Abria. But genuinely, I think that a game that I would run for Abria would either terrify her or awaken her to new storytelling possibilities. That's not ego, that's fact.
You making me want to give you the raise to this one shot.
Listen, I've been playing TTRPGs since I was 10. I've every single like discourse thing that you see on Twitter about like, oh, well, we should focus more on role playing and like you should account for your group's taste. Like, yeah, you should figure this out. And we have a lot of people onboarding to this hobby who need to be told that. Yes, I agree. Please understand, I don't engage because I learned this when I was 14.
Yeah.
You're going through stuff that I learned more than a lifetime ago, 2 lifetimes ago. Stuff I learned in sophomore year of high school.
I don't understand how people are just kind of figuring some of the shit that is controversial now. Like,
well, there's constantly new people joining the hobby who just don't know some stuff, and like some things you can figure out the easy way or the hard way. And it's generally good advice to always talk about how you have to have open communication.
I mean, like shit like Daniel Kwan got a bunch of shit for saying what I thought was the most obvious shit ever, which is I don't keep track of hit points. I just kind of go with what feels right. Like, how is that surprising to anybody?
I mean, here's the thing. I do. I love keeping track of hit points. I love seeing if people can get that nice cinematic finish or if someone else kind of steals the kill. I don't think it's wrong of them to do that, though. And You know what? I didn't comment because I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. He's telling people of a new thing that they might not have been aware of. And like if someone who is larger says something that they do, it gives other people who might get down with it, implicit permission to do the same because that might be suitable for their games. Whenever someone comes out with some hot take or new disposition, like that might work for more people than you realize. And I'm so fucking bored. It's childish shit to yell at people because they do things differently. That stuff that I got tired of in high school, that stuff that I got accustomed to on forum sites on the internet.
Oh, God.
Like actual, BBC coding kind of websites where you could, where the hottest shit was to change the color that your character spoke in kind of shit, That's the tier of yelling at someone because they disagree with you. There's this guy on YouTube named, I think his name is John Boyce, and he made this video as part of a series called I think Pretty Nice Stories. He recounts a bunch of primarily sports stories. But in one video, he talks about this thread on a forum site of bodybuilders about like where I want to say over 100 people couldn't agree onto how to count how many days there are in a week. Yeah, because someone was talking about how is it okay to work out every other day? And someone talks about yeah, it's gonna do like you get about 3.5 workouts a week, but that's how I work out. And someone goes, you can't work out 3.5 times. I work out every other day and I get 4 workouts in a week. And someone goes, but wait, you would have to skip the next day, so it would be 4 weeks and 3. In 1 week it'd be like 4 workouts, and the next week it'd be 3 workouts. So on average, 3.5 workouts a week. And someone went, "You're stupid. You can't count." Does that sound like the same tones that we see on Twitter?
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. That's how it feels all the time. It feels like I'm still stuck in 2007 internet of just.
Except we don't have cool Gaia avatars that we can dress up. That's why I say we all need to go back to Gaia.
Or Ragnarok Online.
I can't stress how glad I am that no one will ever find my Gaia account.
The hunt is on.
Fucking go for it. If you can find my Gaia account, I don't know, I'll make a book about you. Bet.
Get Darby
You will
on
give
it.
me an idea. You will give me an idea, and I will make a 200-page RPG book about it. If you can find my Gaia online account, fucking go.
Oh yeah, baby, here we go. I needed a reason to get back on. I needed a reason to get back on Gaia. And here it is. I hope you motherfuckers are ready for the Chronomancy chronography book from HTTPaladin.
Latia Jaquise, he will not find it. No one can find it.
Latia knows how into Gaia I was. This might be a problem for you, buddy.
I'm chill.
But on that
Here's
note,
the
do we
thing.
want to take a quick break? Or, sorry, do you want to finish that thought?
Here's the thing, Noir. You can spend a lot of time on this. I'm going to be putting in deadlines for drafts soon.
You fucking motherfucker. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm under NDA. I'm not working on anything.
You signed nothing. You're working for me on a project about tarot cards.
God damn it. It was the only NDA I had, but it doesn't exist.
You didn't sign anything.
I know, but it sounds cool to say you have an NDA. Everybody else has one.
I mean, I can say stuff about it. You all agreed to not say anything about it.
Chat, don't say anything about it.
Say anything about what? I can neither confirm nor deny what Paladin has said is the truth or not. I do not recall.
Does anyone smell that? It smells like copium. Weird.
Interesting. For NDA.
And on that note, we're gonna go take ourselves a quick tenner to go do human things. I know that I am dying for a cigarette, so I will see all you motherfuckers later.
We'll be right back.
Be right. Look at them.
We're back. Hi, everybody.
This is a thing that is happening for no reason.
That Noir started.
Oh, bullshit! Welcome back to the second half, also known as the DACA roast, where we ask more serious questions.
That's why we have the plushes.
The first thing that comes back in the chat is swallow the set. No, we're not talking about swallow the set. What we are talking about, however, is we ended up on the conversation of warlocks in 5th edition. So here's my question to you. I got to sneeze, but it's not coming out. It's just in my nose right now.
Hiding.
So 1 second.
It's hiding.
Oh, get out of my body. I don't want you in me any longer. Someone's gonna clip that. Anyway.
Someone clip just Noir yelling my body.
My body. My mind is telling me no. Wait, no, it's my mind is telling me no.
My mind's telling me no.
There it is. But my body's
telling me
also telling me no, because that's the irresponsible. Did this come with a sticker? Oh, it's a tattoo. It came with a tattoo.
How long have you had that?
For a while now.
Jesus.
And I just realized it came with a tattoo. Anyway, my question about warlocks is this. I am of the firm belief that warlocks are technically not spellcasters.
Okay.
I believe that in accordance to lore, that they are being transformed. Like a wizard picks up a book, learns a spell. A sorcerer innately has the ability to cast a spell, whereas a warlock's patron is altering what their warlock is to become a little bit more like them. How do you feel about that perspective of the warlock?
I mean, going down this perspective, you are talking about a class that can kind of cheat the system.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a fighter has to spend years training. A wizard has to spend years learning. The sorcerer either has to get through some genetic lottery or embrace some kind of innate power. Rogue and ranger have to do training. Most classes take years and years and years before they become elite in level 1. So
right.
Warlock just kind of goes about agreeing to dubious bargains, you know? So, like, yeah, there's innate risk and there has to be some kind of cost to being a warlock, and the notion that warlocks are being changed is definitely one that has validity. We are talking about a class that has access to certain spells that no one else can learn and has terminology that only they pick up, you know?
Right.
Like, yes, they have arcane stuff, but like they don't have any arcane features. None of their features have the word arcane in them.
Right.
As opposed to bards or sorcerers or wizards who might have a feature here and there referred to as arcane. All their stuff is tagged as eldritch, and eldritch is never really defined.
Exactly. And so here's where my take gets a little hotter, and I've gotten some pushback on this. I think that once a warlock has reached their full potential at level 20, the patron has a choice of either seeing their warlock as a peer or competition. But I feel like the power dynamic changes upon the warlock hitting level 20.
That feels like something that you should explore.
Yeah, but that's work. I want your thoughts on it.
You want my thoughts, or do you want to like workshop it out yourself?
I mean, I'm gonna workshop it myself.
Because every class, once it gets enough power, you know, it is a step and above away from being whatever they once were.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, like, once you hit level 20 as like a cleric, the relationship between cleric and their deity or their ideal or their virtue or whatever is powering them doesn't really change. It's just like, if I'm a deity and I've got a level 20 cleric, it's just like, dope. Now you can do my will even better. Same thing with a paladin and their oath, or a bard or a wizard or a sorcerer. The warlock is the only one that from level 1 to level 20 is beholden to an entirely different entity.
I would say that divine classes that derive their abilities from a god are in the same boat. It's just their transaction is more of a transaction. You know, a warlock is, I need this. Please give it to me.
Right.
You know? As opposed to divine spellcasters who go, I will give you faith. I will give you faith. You will give me powers. You know, Warlocks innately are a dangerous thing to play anyways, because you're playing a class with a timer on them. You know, you're making a thing that you don't understand. You might be able to conceptualize it as like a fae or a devil or a great old one, which feels like a cop out of a word or a term. But by and large, you have no idea what you're actually doing.
Right.
You're fucking around with shit that you don't have any kind of leash on, messing with things that you don't have any true understanding of. You're just in a tight spot and you need some power and you need it now.
Yeah, the J.G. Wentworth of
my
Dungeons
power
and
and I
Dragons.
need it now.
Yeah, so you're putting yourself in an innately vulnerable position anyways.
Right.
A paladin hitting 20 and a cleric hitting 20, that's just a better servant.
Right.
In worst case scenario, or better instrument of divine will. A fighter goes from being someone who is learning to someone who can teach. A rogue is someone who goes from being a scallywag to being a true terror. A bard goes from being a performer to being the thing that can spin the foundational myths. But a warlock goes from being someone who is desperate into something else entirely.
Yeah, and I always put myself in the mindset of the patron, because I mainly GM and I have a bunch of people that pick warlock, and it's just like I can't. I shouldn't say I can't conceptualize like a patron being super duper excited that this peon that they gave a little bit of power to has grown that power to the extent that they are now a threat to me. Like,
I mean, viewing it in this way, how much of a threat does a tomato plant pose to you?
I suppose not much.
Patrons plant seeds.
Right.
The question is, what do they get when they harvest?
Well, I mean, and I guess that's why I'm just like, do they consider them a peer? Which is like, this is my tomato plant. It has borne me many tomatoes, and I am happy with this. Or I was bored one day, I put a seed in the ground, and now I've got all these fucking tomatoes, and it's fucking up my backyard. Like, it's just, I don't know. I've always just thought it was interesting to take a look at the mind of the patron when their warlock gets like.
Sure, but like the interpretation of a patron is inherently on the DM side.
True.
So it's going to vary from game to game, and how well it is and how good it is going to vary wildly in quality from DM to DM. And I'm sure you've had bad DMs. I'm sure you've had good DMs. Which ones would you honestly want to explore this with?
A good DM. A very good DM.
Yeah, but if you had a bad DM and you had the choice between playing a very intense warlock or like a fun fighter, which would you choose?
Oh, a fucking warlock every time. Yeah. Every time.
Even if there was no real payoff for it, even though you're playing a class that innately relies on a heavy interpersonal relationship that could not be established with a bad DM.
Well, and that's why, like, I personally don't like warlocks, but I think they are the most thematic class in 5th edition, and I kind of wish that other classes were as thematic as the warlock.
They're not.
They're not. They're really not.
No. Warlocks require sociability.
Yeah.
D&D is it's supposed to be based around 3 pillars, and one of them is social. You are tied to something that you have to talk to. Warlocks don't get a whole lot when it comes to raw combat potential. They don't get a whole lot when it comes to exploring, but they're based around charisma. They get some social skills to choose from, and they have to talk to some big entity. A cleric might never talk to their god.
Right.
A paladin has an oath, and that might or may not require deity, but a warlock has to talk, and that's the appeal. If you're playing a warlock with a bad DM, you don't get the full warlock experience.
And I kind of feel like that's the problem with warlocks and rangers. Like, the ranger, I think, is the second most thematic class in all of 5th edition, but the problem is that it relies entirely on the pillar of exploration, which is something that a lot of DMs just kind of skim over, thus making the class useless.
sociability and exploration require a DM who has put more thought into that than usual. But most talks we ever get or see or watch about D&D is all about how to run a better combat, partially because, if you don't run good combat, you can end the game pretty fast. Me exploring the woods and finding a waterfall, different connotation than that goblin has a knife and is way too close.
Yeah.
So you get into things like sociability and exploration, which aren't developed enough when it comes to just even talks from different influencers in the D&D space. Of course, playing them is going to be lackluster. Part of the reason why Gloomstalker Ranger is so popular is because it just gives more and more of that Ranger feel of shooting shit. Hexblade is so popular because, you could be attuned to an Archdevil, or you could be attuned to a Great Old One, but you could have this bitch and sword.
That's the Warlock subclass that bothers me the most, because it kind of robs the Warlock of all of the themes that I love about it.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, it leaves it a lot more open to interpretation, is what I'll say.
Sure, Hexblade doesn't define its patron.
Right.
You become more martial. Whatever's making you more martial, that's up to the DM.
Right.
I've played with players who did Hexblades, and their whole shtick was they made a bet with their patron. I've seen Warlocks who were Hexblades who were making deals and that they probably could never live up to with the talking entity in their weapon. We saw in Critical Role, this person who's lying about themselves is made a bargain with a very powerful entity that they are very afraid of.
Yeah.
It's got no predefinition to it, and that can be a boon or a failure depending on the DM. Because again, I don't need to really confer with my DM the nuance of playing Cyanite, but I do have to confer with them if I'm trying to play a Warlock with an undead patron.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the coolest things I've ever seen done with the Hexblade in particular is I wasn't the GM that did this, but the weapon, the Hex weapon, was a cursed family heirloom, and the Hexblade essentially just had the ability to share their family curse with whoever they were fighting.
Sure, real quick. Why can't level 20 characters be patrons themselves? Show me the mechanics for it.
Yeah.
Anytime a level 20 character can do that, it's someone adding in something that isn't already explicitly filled out. So nothing stops you, just something explicitly gives you permission to.
Right.
And that's all it is.
I mean, I feel like a lot that describes a lot of 5th edition, though.
Yeah, no. I worked with Clerical Cleric on incantations, and they picked up stuff very, very fast. But the one thing that kept coming up was the fact that you can pretty much do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. Follow the linguistics of 5e, but you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
I mean, all this sounds to me, Noir, is that you need to write a supplement about warlocks and warlock patrons.
Yeah. Annie up, motherfucker. Listen, you can either like keep talking about it and keep theorizing about it, or you can put pen to paper. You've seen what I do with just a line for a prompt, right?
I mean, fair.
Yeah, I'm not unique in that regard. Anybody can do it.
That is true. So that, I mean, I'm automatically about to dunk on myself with this next question. It's less of a question, but more of one of the things that I truly enjoy with working with you in particular is that you understand the linguistics of 5th edition and you understand the practicality of 5th edition. And sure. I am very much pie in the sky. Like, I like wonderful ideas that would be fun, but would not exactly be the best to run at a table. And so like that is something that I am learning from working with you, which is just like, all right, we've got to make this not only this pie in the sky idea, but we've got to make it practical for the table. So one of the things that I miss from 3.5, which is a sentence that I say a lot, is I love how you in 3.5 it was not unusual to see people customizing spells in very interesting ways, which is something I feel that we have lost in 5th edition, especially with sorcerers really being the only ones that could do any sort of meta magic. And I always wondered how one would employ that for a wizard. And I was wondering, or I was just imagining, what do you think of being able to sacrifice damage from a spell for additional effects as a class ability? For example, if you were to cast a fireball, which I believe is 5d6, being able to trade 1d6 of damage for an additional effect.
That goes into the idea of paying cost and resources for benefits.
Right.
One of the worst things we saw from 3.5 was the idea of the quadratic fighter and was the linear fighter and quadratic wizard, where from levels 1 to 6, fighters were either on par or kind of ahead, but as soon as like 7th, 8th level hit, wizards became batshit. Like, oh yeah, you hit level 20, well, the fighter can attack 4 times in a round. What can the wizard do? Warp reality with one cast of wish that they can do 3 other times a day?
Yeah.
What you're talking about deals with the idea of having proper usages or proper resources put into accomplishing certain effects. If I'm in a subclass that could do a bunch of damage, but could also kind of tell the future, but could also deal with the undead, I would first off have a Mary Sue, but I would also be thematically incoherent. I wouldn't have anything of merit, but I also wouldn't have anything that was paying proper costs for benefits. The way I always use subclasses is that you get a couple of active abilities, a couple of passive abilities. But if all I'm getting are passive abilities, then I'm not really gaining anything. If I add a bunch of active abilities, I'm not going to be able to do anything. You have to have some give and take to make things worthwhile. If you're talking about actively reducing damage to pull off something, and it's a matter of what can you reduce in order to do whatever you want to accomplish. Are you reducing enough, or are you doing more? Is it fair to reduce your damage by 1d6 to make people roll against a 1-round fear effect? And how does that compare to reducing your damage by 1d6 to cause people to just be unconscious? Which one sounds more fair? And then you have to ask, is the first one even fair at all? Okay. One of the things that I picked up playing on role-playing game forums for the longest time was the idea that the worst homebrew, the worst modifications you can make to any game is to make things that are so appetizing and so appealing that they become the default option. Wherein if you don't take them, if you don't use them, you're not worsening the game for everybody, but you're worsening the game for yourself because everybody else saw it and went, I want that, I want to feel good.
In that case, then what's the sweet spot?
Making something that is different but still viable. Fireball is notorious for being the damage dealing thing, right?
Right.
But fire damage is also one of the most commonly resistant things.
Right.
I like lightning bolt. Doesn't do as much damage. It's a different targeting system, different kind of effect, different damage type. But it's different and it's still viable. When I make things, I don't go out of my way to think, oh, I don't like assassin, I'm going to show up assassin. The killing class? Yeah, fuck it. I'll make a better killing class. That's A, pointless.
Right. Real
pointless. And B, why? I shouldn't be trying to compete. I should try to be as viable. And that's the hard part of design, of making things that aren't just either totally worthless or totally without merit.
Okay. So with this example idea. Let's say I was trying to think of something if I can. Let's say you could trade 1d6 to add a, well, no, you know what? I thought of that and it was immediately broken. So never mind. Well, you know what? Just because I think one of the things that I want to show is like what it's like working with you, because you I like the way that you've explained everything that you've explained so far. And I think that this is good for people to see in case they're wondering about doing this on their own. So I think one of the most underutilized things in 5th edition that I absolutely love is the exhaustion system. And I feel like there's not enough that plays into that, because usually exhaustion is supposed to be tethered to exploration and the sort. But there's not too many spells that play with exhaustion. There's not too many abilities that play with exhaustion. So, would you say sacrificing damage to add a level of exhaustion would be something that's feasible, or something that you would consider worthwhile, if that makes sense?
Let's see here. In Pathfinder First Edition and somewhat in D&D, you could get ability drain, which was your actual ability score would be reduced, and you could get it back slowly over a couple of days. If you got higher level and you have more resources, you could learn spells to help mitigate that and reduce how much was being taken away from you. But like, for example, for a while, our monk, who relied very heavily on strength and wisdom and a little bit of dexterity, had like a 3 charisma. And, you know, it was entertaining, but it wasn't something that we could easily deal with because we were like level 4.
Right.
You know? I was playing the Paladin. I could cure some of it, but not that much, not that soon. You know? Exhaustion is a thing where there's so few ways to deal with it that to bring it in is going to make people feel like they weren't choosing the right things, or they didn't play correctly. If I poison someone, there's different ways to deal with that. If I make someone afraid, or if I make someone fall down, go boom, you know, there's ways to deal with that. There's ways to recover from that pretty easily. But if I say, all right, you have 1 level of exhaustion, cool, so now you're going to suck for the next day until you can sleep. Right. Or unless your party happens to have prepared a lesser restoration. In which case, I'm going to make it so that unless you dedicate your resources for this one niche thing, you suck for a day.
Yeah.
It's fun to play around with exhaustion. I've done it before, but I've had to control my usage of it in the sense that if I am too liberal with it, I'm going to make things unfun for people. Challenges are fun. They are fun to overcome. They are fun to throw at people if they have a decent enough chance to overcome it, or if overcoming it would be a little difficult. If I make it so that you feel ridiculed, or you feel smaller for not preparing this very niche thing to prepare for this very slim chance of someone doing something, I've fucked up as a DM. It doesn't make you feel like you're playing wrong.
Right.
They're trying to think. My brain just wiped. The entire thought process just clean slated.
Good, that's not just me that happens to.
Oh, and I remember there was a thread a while ago by someone on Twitter who was talking about the essences of challenges when it comes to role-playing games, and how D&D, because of its culture, because of how things go, because it largely relies on DMs to handle the bulk of sociability and exploration, there's a lot of focus on combat. And because of that heavy skew, every single class thing kind of has to skew towards combat to a very heavy degree.
Right.
But if you are playing some game and your classes are soldier and carpenter and sailor, if the challenge is to end someone, then yeah, the soldier's going to do great. If your challenge is to get across a big river, carpenter and sailor are going to do better.
Right.
The challenges that they're suited to. Exhaustion being a form of challenge to overcome when it comes to exploration. Great. Love that. I love that idea. But the problem is that if we tie that to exploration, then it becomes a thing of, if you aren't playing a ranger, are you playing it wrong?
Right.
If you aren't actually going towards exploration and then you come across exhaustion, how are you ever going to prepare for it? You know, D&D was made with 3 pillars in mind, but everything skews towards combat.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not enough focus on the other 2 pillars to either make people confident making choices and game and character decisions to focus on those 2 things, or even to put resources towards handling the problems that come from those 2 things. You know, if I make a fighter and I'm very knowledgeable about royalty, nobility, and history, I'm preparing myself for those explicit challenges. But no matter how good I am at knowing the intricacies of political rivalries and the landscape, that's not going to prepare me for when my party inevitably has to fuck up some mercenary group. But I can slip very easily into playing the game wrong if you can't handle the 3 pillars correctly. If I'm playing that fighter and I build very much towards sociability, and I'm stuck in endless combats akin to Skyrim, have I built wrong? Because I feel foolish.
Okay. So oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because I prepared for one thing that I expect in D&D. I prepared for these challenges and these consequences, and none of those are happening. Is it a failure on my DM's part, or is it a failure on my part? And sometimes it's A and sometimes it's B.
I think sometimes a situation like this is easily remedied by a session 0 that lays out expectations for the game and what players can do.
Sure, but that's having to rely on that for every solution, for every answer.
That's true.
Covers up the flaw that comes about from game design. You know?
Right. My question then comes to, as game designers, have we failed at reinforcing the other 2 pillars? Because everything I see, again, it supports the dominance of the combat pillar. I'm saying that I feel as though there's not enough. I'm not saying that's not enough, but it's hard to make things that are strictly social based or strictly environmentally based, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. Because by and large, most people won't engage with those 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, D&D is very much based around the heroic fantasy, but it tends to treat heroism as either abstaining or embracing violence. You know, you have a lot of tools. Did you use them or did you not use them, and why?
I mean, I think one of the things that kind of enforces what you're saying is just the persuasion skill and the insight skill, which is like in a lot of political intrigue, it's determining somebody's interior motives it's never as simple as, I'm gonna roll my vibe check, I rolled a 20, I know what they're planning. I feel there's a lot of nuance that's missing because there are these 2 or 3 skills that encompass all there is for a social encounter.
Sure. But in that same vein, stealth is binary. You either are stealth or you're not. You either are detected or you're not. Right?
Right.
There are gaps in the system that should be filled up, but by and large relies on interpretation to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
The other side of the spectrum is Pathfinder First Edition wanted rules for everything. It wanted rules for every situation in any encounter. And by and large, if you wanted to do something, it had the rules for it, and it wanted you to obey those specific rules.
Right.
As opposed to 5, which is more based on rulings, based on the DM putting in some legwork. And
Right.
if you build with that in mind, if you play the game with that in mind, yeah, your DM is going to have to put in a lot more work, but also you start to get closer to what the designers wanted for D&D. I'm not the authority on whether or not that's a flaw or a benefit, but I'm very much against the idea of a lazy DM.
Me too. Me too.
I'm very much against the idea of cutting corners and taking the easy way out. I'm very much tired of every single tips and tricks video on YouTube, because I've heard them all before, because they generally cover the same 15 topics.
Yeah.
We are playing a game that is based on the heroic fantasy of violence, and we are playing a game that allows DMs to put in a lot more footwork for the other two pillars. Because of these two things, of course, the game's going to go towards violence. As someone said in chat, you're going to wind up with a lot of people treating the game as every problem is a male.
I also think that people turn to violence because it's so concrete. There is no second guessing. Like, if you have hit points, I do certain amount of hit points to you. Once your hit points reach 0, I win. Like, it's a very simple, structured concept.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't really exist for environment or for social.
If you are scouting and you break your leg, what do you do? If you are talking to a diplomat and you accidentally offend them based on their culture, and you're unaware, lack of understanding of their own people, what do you do?
Well, see, now that example, I could give you like what I've seen a lot of GMs do, even good ones at times. And this goes to the lazy GM. And I'm not saying that these GMs are lazy. I'm just saying that because there's no concrete something, it's to them, it's justified, which is one party member flubs in front of a noble, thoroughly disrespects the house. Somebody else comes in, rolls a 20, and everything's okay all of a sudden.
Yeah, which is... it's necessary for a lot of new people, but as you go on, you should be able to have tools to deal with that. But a lot of the conversations are about tools for new people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Everything you do in a TTRPG, by and large, has at least one very obvious consequence. If you stab someone, they lose hit points. That's the obvious consequence. And if you stab them enough, they will die. And that is the obvious consequence. If you offend a house and a manor, a guild, the obvious consequence is these people are no longer for you. At the very minimum, they're no longer for you. Odds are they're now against you. If you break your legs alone in the woods, I hope you know how to do some field work. Or you might lose a leg, and that is an obvious consequence. Playing out ramifications and furthered penalties, I want to say, is a lot harder, and is not an obvious conversation.
Yeah,
because no one really plans out the ramifications of what we've done. If you bring in a coin that if you flip it, you talk to someone who can give you whatever you want for a price, the obvious ramification is I gave the skeleton what they wanted, and now I get what I want. The ramifications is you just cheated the system. The ramification is your fellow party members saw you do this. The ramifications is, what did you do to give the skeleton what he wanted?
No, I like that.
It's more planning overall, but that's what it needs.
Absolutely. And I aspire to do that in my games. I think there's a part of me that wishes that when 5th edition was created, the same level of care that went into combat went into everything else. I love the idea of a social hit point. I've dreamed of a game utilizing something like that, where it's the same basic concept of combat.
Sure. Well, there is a game that actually does something like that. In Star Trek Adventures, there's an idea of reputation.
Yeah.
Your personal reputation and even your ship's reputation affects how the NPCs in the world interact with you and can affect your status in the ship, whether or not you get promoted or demoted, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the idea. And at the same time, if you have stealth and you have exploration and you have sociability as these vague notions you try and do, then what really is the problem with Daniel Kwan saying doesn't track hit points?
Right. I mean, I love that. I think if you talk to a lot of people, you ask them what's their most memorable like story, their most memorable memory in D&D. A good portion of them is going to be like, I was at one hit point, the monster was still standing, the party was down, and then I did something that saved the day. You can have amazing social interactions, but there's never going to be something quantifiable like that, where it's just like, we were on the last legs, this negotiation was going bad, we were one word away from we were one word away from all out warfare, and then somebody had a brilliant notion that turned everything around, and we were able to establish a peace treaty between these two warring nations. Like,
would you watch Dark Souls video about someone playing the game no hit run full clear, or would you watch someone talk about the lore of Dark Souls?
I'm not interested in Dark Souls at all, so I couldn't.
What's an IP you are interested in? What's some game that you do like?
Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry. Are you more interested in someone talking about the lore and deep history that isn't so obvious about the game, or are you more interested in seeing someone do fucking sick while playing the game?
Fucking sick.
Okay, like, yeah, we're gonna get a lot of stories about people who are playing the game and like at the grinding of their teeth making it through, because by and large we can see the obvious consequence of that, and we know how hard it is to do that kind of thing, because universally combat is a universal language when it comes to talking about TTRPGs. May I give you a story?
Absolutely.
It's kind of long, but
bring it on.
Sure. This was a few years back. I was running a game of Pathfinder for some of my friends back in Michigan, and very recently, the cleric died.
Right.
The cleric's piece, the cleric character of the party, had died, and he was part of this religious cult in the city devoted to a god of butchery and feasting, lawful evil. So we had a lawful evil party member who everybody loved and enjoyed and really missed when he was gone, whose whole notion was the idea of no matter what, you're going to feed someone. No matter what, you're going to feed someone. But he died. He died while doing a dual adventure with the party paladin who was doing a bow and arrow build. They died trying to clear some undead out from deep underneath the city in some catacombs. They killed the beast, but everything was collapsing. The cleric was unconscious, and the paladin couldn't drag him away in time. So he grabbed the cleric's war pick and belt, left or note to the party when they returned back to their inn suite, and laid down for the day because he had just lost his friend. The one friend he had in the group. Morning came, and the rest of the party members started doing their own research, trying to do their own errands. And at night, they were coming back from a night on the town, and along the way, they came about this necromancer who was driving a cart. And this necromancer, who the paladin recognized, is the guy responsible for raising the undead that they had tried to clear out in the first place. This guy, now freed of that final undead that they killed, was trying to turn himself in. And so the party split up, with one group escorting the necromancer to a garrison, with the other half going towards the garrison in question ahead of them to tell them, hey, this is coming in, we need you to take it seriously. And while the one party was escorting the necromancer, which consisted of the sorceress and the fighter of the group, they met up with that cleric's cult. which was all about, raising a community, making sure people are fed, removing what is wrong. And they came about, they're fully armored, some of them are on horses, some of them are on wagons, and they look at the group and they recognize and go, hey, you are friends with so-and-so. We're looking for that guy. We're so glad that you have him. Can you please hand him over to us? He killed our brother. We need to end him.
Jeez.
And the fighter and the sorceress go, okay, we were going to put him in jail. Is that cool? And the cult goes, no, that's not cool. We're not going to repeat ourselves. Give him to us. And the sorceress goes, okay. And slaps the horse's ass, and the wagon that they're on starts rushing downhill. So now we started into a fight of 3 versus 13. 13 cult members chasing the fighter, the sorceress, and the necromancer, while far away is the new party bard, the oracle, the paladin, and I think at the time he was playing a witch. So very, very one-sided. And the cultists are jumping onto the cart. The fighter is dealing them one by one, either pushing them off or just cutting them down to the point where they start bleeding out. The sorceress is casting false life and shield and protective spells on himself and the necromancer. The necromancer keeps spamming false life because they are trying to kill him, and they would be succeeding if not for the spells. Eventually, one of the cultists is hang gliding, and because it's Pathfinder, the fighter had the ability to charge at someone in the sky. Like Goku Leap, jump up and tackle someone.
Right.
And he tackles someone, and they land on the ground, and they're fighting, and they get up, and this person throws him through a wall. He apologizes to the family that he interrupted the dinner of. He runs back out and kills her as he gets dropped to 1 hit point. And he's like, okay, I can still fight. And he jumps up, and he hits some other cult member who looks at him, looks at the person on the ground, and says to him, oh, you're the Maw now. And he goes, I'm the what? And then this cultist stabs him in the ribs, drops him to the ground, continues sailing. The fighter is now on the ground downhill from that cultist that they killed, as her blood is starting to trail down the cobblestone down towards him. And it's not like flowing near him, it's actively moving towards him. And that's how he runs with Mythic. Because that's a subsystem in Pathfinder. It's like a different leveling system.
Right.
The fighting sorry.
You're good.
The fighting continues, and eventually the cart is rolling downhill, and they meet up with the other 4 party members while there's few cultists remaining. They dispatch most of them. One of them is trying to fly away towards the sunrise on a hang glider, but the paladin pulls out an arrow, uses divine smite, and shoots the cultists' hang glider. As the cultists find they're trying to cast a spell, the paladin keeps peppering them with arrows even after they're dead, and finally this person hits the waters and their corpse flows out into the sea. All the cultists are dead, and the party, who is low health, who is mostly out of spells, goes, wait, didn't they have a house? If there are any there, they're going to try and find us. We have to clear the house now. And they rally up, they turn the necromancer in, they start heading towards the house. They get there, open the door, and they see the cleric. Cleric looks back over to them and says, hello, friends. And starts black holing the entirety of the house. As it's starting to break away and tear apart, they see different teeth and different eyes gnashing and looking at them. And while they're in the house, they're taking damage, they're trying to escape. And eventually they all run out. And the paladin looks at the cleric and says, I'm so sorry. And runs out too. And the cleric goes, no, you're not. And the house is gone. As the party looks out in the early morning at this completely blank slot in the buildings. End of session.
Gotta say, that's pretty dope.
What appealed? Was it the combat? Was it the sociability of it?
To me, I'm very curious as to what the Maw is, what's going on with that blood. Um, and I'm very curious as to why the cleric would say no, you're not. Those are the two things that stuck out for me.
Cool. Would any RPG book tell me to do those things? Or were they extra things that I had to put the legwork in?
I don't think any book would tell. Well, the mob bit, I feel like that could be attached to lore that a book would describe.
Yeah.
As for the cleric's reasoning, that might be attached to the cleric's belief lore as well. Something that we're just not seeing.
D&D and a lot of other RPGs never define sociability and exploration because those are very, very human things. I'm not going to bore someone with talking about you find a forest and there are some red berries now. You find a different part of the forest and there are blueberries now. But I am going to talk about how you find a clearing with a grove of flowers. You see a couple of deer running through the meadow, but they are avoiding that circle. I'm going to talk about how there are a couple of street urchins around, and they look at your party rogue, and while they are, trying to sell something to other people, they look at the rogue and kind of shy away. D&D and other traditional games like that can design for combat because combat is a very linear thing.
Right.
You can permutate it. You can kind of crossbreed with any kind of encounter or different setup or a specialized environment, whatever you want. But it gives you the rules for doing all kinds of stuff like that. But those kind of games are really only truly interesting if you have the context for the people who are playing it, the characters that they're playing, which you can't put into a book. And because we're not put into a book, we're not going to find a lot of advice about it, either in those books or on YouTube videos.
I agree with you. And this is like my I think my final point on this, because I love this conversation and we could talk about this all day. But one of the things that I think is a side effect of combat being as predominant as it is that it takes away from everything else a little bit. Like spells. I hate Charm Person. I hate all enchantment magic, to be quite honest. It feels very uncomfortable. And I think that if social encounters were just a scooch more structured, we wouldn't have to be as cautious as GMs to make sure that enchantment isn't abused the way that we've seen it abused at tables, if that makes sense.
It does, but at the same time, sociability especially requires a DM who knows how to fabricate interpersonal relationships.
Sure. And I just feel like for newer GMs, a little bit more structure in that regards would help avoid a lot of the horror stories that I've heard at tables.
Let's remove the notion of the bad actor DM who is purposely being bad. Right? Okay. Because if we dismiss that, we have people who either don't know what they're doing or need the tools to do so, to do better. And those are the people that I want to focus on, because again, I feel like if we just remove the bad actors, some of the horror stories that I've heard have come from GMs that just are a little bit obtuse. Like they just don't see in the moment what is coming from their interpretations of social interactions. Mm-hmm. And just with a little bit more structure, I feel like just a guide rail, like, here are things that magic can never make happen. or again, like social hit points or something akin to that to help make sure that they don't cross
certain lines.
But those are either tools that a DM has to make for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
or you should play a different game.
Sure.
At the end of the day, D&D isn't made for everything possible.
No, that's fair.
And again, fabricating interpersonal relationships is something that can only really happen between a game runner and the people playing in that game. You know,
Right.
You can give advice, but at the end of the day, you know, it's up to them, right? Which is why, to go back to an earlier question I posed to you, you know, you have the choice between a warlock with a kind of poor DM or a fighter with a poor DM.
If I'm taking the fighter with the poor DM all day. There's absolutely nothing to gain from playing a warlock with a GM that doesn't give a shit.
and after talking for about an hour, you change your answer. Because earlier when I asked you said warlock all the time.
I thought when you originally asked, it was a fighter with a poor DM or a. You know what? My memory is shot.
I was asking you if you had a poor DM, fighter or warlock.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, I should have said fighter the first time as well, because there's really, I mean, the class is hampered by the GM. The same with the ranger.
Yeah,
it's just
elevated or made better by someone who can fabricate interpersonal relationships or a world to delve into.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you can't form interpersonal relationships, if you can't form a good world, then you're not great at running the game.
True. Now, speaking of
What?
no, continue.
No, go ahead.
This is how you know we've done the show too long. Go ahead. Get out of my brain, you witch.
Speaking of people who aren't great at running the game or playing the game, Noir, take it away.
No. You commit to this. Commit to this, Anita.
This isn't about Excel routine.
If you have been in the TTRPG community long enough, chances are that you have had an encounter with what we like to refer to as a that guy. That guy is a black hole of fun at a TTRPG table. Someone who, if you were to completely remove them from the situation, if you were to yeet them into the sun, your experience would improve. Noir can provide you with some examples of those guys.
No, I'm aware of what a that guy is.
Did you hear? Did you hear the stories and how you said that? Oh, no.
Oh no, I think that might have been directed to someone in this call.
No, not directed at any of you. You two, as far as I know, are fine. No, I've had a that guy.
Tell us your story about that guy.
Hold on 1 second. Anita, were you implying that I'm a that guy?
No, I was implying that there's a certain story that has been told where the first time you met playing a game.
Neither one of us are that guys.
No, this happened years and years ago. I happened upon a game that a friend of mine was in. They invited me in. DM was a guy named Joe.
Yes. We're off to a good start.
I fucking hate Joe. Joe's the kind of DM who is running a story and wants it told the way he wants it. You will hit the beats that he wants you to hit when he tells you can hit them. You don't get his enemies will make their saves until he wants them to fail. His NPCs will show up when you are failing, because you will be failing, to show you just how bad you are at the game and how much you needed help against these terrible, terrible foes that we're facing. His enemies you will not be able to hit them unless you manage to get a critical hit, because they are just so tough and terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
I hate Joe. I got invited to play a game with Joe, and I realized that if I can't hit things and things are going to make saves against spells that I cast, then I'm going to play a class that doesn't roll to attack and doesn't force enemy and doesn't care about having enemies make saves. I played a buffing bard. I played a bard who I optimized to be assist and roll support in 3.5 D&D. To the point where I wanted to make sure that if I was doing something to help another person to do something, Joe could not argue against them succeeding. Because if Joe doesn't want to have a talk about whether or not people can actually win or fail according to a dice roll, then I'm taking the dice roll out of the equation, and my party is going to win. I hate Joe. I optimize my 3.5 bard with Inspired Competence and Inspired Courage Focus, which for people who aren't aware, in 3.5 D&D, Inspired Competence was a bard ability that you would start playing a song, and friends and allies who could hear the song or feel the song would get a flat bonus to all of their skill checks, or Inspired Courage, which gave people a flat bonus to attack and damage rolls. By level 7, I had optimized in a way so that all of my allies gained a plus 14 to all skill checks and a plus 16 on all attack and damage rolls.
Oh, I miss those old 3.5 numbers.
Because I got very tired of my friends rolling 22 to hit or 25 to hit, and Joe saying, "Oh, you just miss." I'm removing the chance of failure out of the equation, Joe. Because if you don't want to play D&D, we don't have to play D&D. I optimized diplomacy checks to the point where if I roll diplomacy, my minimum was going to be in the high 40s. I optimized myself to the point where if I wanted to cast a certain spell with a higher caster level, I could, because I went with the prestige class Sublime Chord. And because all my focus was on inspiring others and boosting others and buffing others, Joe couldn't stop me, because Joe wasn't that bright. Joe knew that he could go to the challenge if he raised up the ACs, if he raised the hit points, or if he raised how high their saves were, but that doesn't matter to me. Nothing that Joe did fazed me at all. You're going to throw someone who hides and attacks from the darkness, I'm going to cast Glitter Dust. That's a -40 to hide checks on all of your enemies, Joe, and their only save that they have to roll is against being blinded for a couple of rounds. I don't like Joe.
So you have a competitive GM, PvP GM.
No, I had a GM who wanted to who should have just written a book.
Yeah.
Who should have just written a book.
The novelist.
Yeah.
The novelist, yeah.
Maybe a touch of Puppet Master in there a little bit.
The reason why he is, in my mind, constantly that DM is because he was constantly talking about a story, which wasn't that great, constantly talking about all of his stories of running games for years, which weren't that good, and constantly, at all times, very obviously, wanting to fuck the one single woman in the group.
Why do those always go together? It's always that combination of ugh.
It's almost as if people who are full of themselves, who get off on power dynamics, really, really want to hit on women in very obvious ways. They clearly want to be in control, because if they're in control, any failure is clearly not their fault.
I'm so sick of that shit, man. Like, for real.
Yeah. He did a thing where every session you played in, you got at least one heroic point. If you did some cool stuff like role playing, you get an additional heroic point. At 10 heroic points, you can get some kind of boon. And my boon that I always chose was, I want to get access to this book now, or this book now, or that book over there, every time. And over time, over the course of a couple months, I had access to everything that boosted up any amount of playstyle with the Bard. To the point where, nearing the end of our playtime together, whenever I sang my song and the fighter went to combat, he was adding plus 48 to hit and plus 48 d6 to all damage rolls. I don't like Joe.
That's a chef's kiss right there.
Like, you know how trash a GM you gotta be defeated by your players? If you're being a PvP GM, that is.
Do you know how much you gotta suck as a DM to make me not like you? I spend most of my life not caring about shit. Active spite takes energy. You made me put energy into not liking you? Holy fuck, pal. You're spare parts. You're fucking 10-ply, bud.
Stop.
Give your balls a tug.
Yeah, literally. And I know he did because he kept talking about how hot she was. Constantly.
Not in game to other players.
No, just when he gave her a suit of plus with the armor, it was in his words, it looks like heavy duty bondage gear. How you could use a longsword or you could use his +4 whip. There's Subtle, and then there's Joe.
Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ.
I have no words. I think this just needs to be called the Joe.
Hashtag Big Joe. Yeah, I like it.
Give your balls a tug, you tit fucker.
Also, I hate how many stories we've heard in that guy section that everybody at the table is having a bad time, but the film at the table, it just gives that extra dose of
no. You don't understand. You don't understand. I had fun because I was removing Joe's fun.
That's
you know
the game
bad,
at that point.
Do you know how bad you have to be to turn me into a vampire? Do you know how much I have to actively spite you to make it so that no matter what, I'm not going to lose? Because I know what game you're really playing. You know how bad you have to be as a DM for me to guest for you once and then have your players ask if I'm going to guest again as the DM?
I've had that happen. It's actually it's a good.
Oh,
power
it's
move.
cathartic.
It's a power move, man. It's good. It's good. Oh my god, that's so
I'm not saying the worst of it.
Oh no.
Oh no, it gets worse.
Oh, it gets worse.
Jesus.
We were playing still, and we just got off topic, just shooting the shit for a little bit. In the middle of it, Joe is talking, and he starts talking to the woman in question, and starts talking. So hot. God, I would fuck you so good. Look, I would do anything for you. Redheads are my thing. It's just you are perfect.
No. In front of everybody?
In front of everybody.
It's got to be stopped. That's no, man. Oh no, man.
I've been on the receiving end of that kind of affection. It's not good.
I can't ever view that kind of stuff as affection.
It's not at all.
No, man.
It's clearly a ploy.
Yeah. It's
Like,
it's engineered to make someone feel terribly uncomfortable.
Joe really thought he was winning.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Now, I will say this because I am not a saint. She and I dated for a good year and a half after we stopped playing that game, and Joe was a constant target. Because holy fuck, bud, you're soft.
Oh god.
Together, Joe.
And that's how I learned about the word cuckold.
yeah, films out here really just enduring some horrible shit. I'm so sorry.
To clarify something, man, I got mistaken. I used to post on 4chan when I was younger, just out of high school, and just needed some people to talk to. Because again, I was a loser. I did a draw thread once, and I wanted to draw some people if they posted their selfies. And I got mistaken for a girl for a good, I want to say 5 minutes. Holy fucking shit, bud. You have no idea.
Yo. So Guild Wars 2, I decided I want to play a Norn like lady fighter. And
Noir?
Oof.
Noir?
Yeah.
I got mistaken for a woman on 4chan for 5 minutes because I didn't explicitly say that I was a guy. I couldn't handle 5 minutes.
I deleted my character and just made dude character. It was so bad. It was so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah. I made it my mission to ruin Joe's fun.
God.
Yes, as you should.
Yeah.
This is just like I'm just like having flashbacks to like working customer service and having to deal with creepos.
You unlocked the memory in my mind of like a GM that I had way back in high school, announcing their affection for a player via an story event that none of us agreed to beforehand.
Especially the person they were announcing the affection to.
Yeah.
Burn it to the ground. Burn it all to the ground. Cut the stream. Ugh.
Like we had to fight our way to this temple, and the way that we could purify the land is if that character swore an oath. And then he was just like, "Would you be my girlfriend?" At the end, after the end of like saying the oath that she would have to recite, I was just like, "No."
She turned him down, right? Please say she turned him down.
The session ended. They had a conversation afterwards, and she didn't come back to the game.
Yeah.
Probably for the best.
That's the move.
That's the move. That's the only way that this works. And the campaign ended right there. We never spoke to each other again.
I played 2 more sessions.
Noir.
I wanted to. I'm not the best. All right, I've made mistakes.
So yeah, the Tale of Joe ended when we were nearing like the 3/4 way of the campaign, and Joe had planned out this entire huge puzzle for us. It was essentially all these glyphs, all these characters, and it would spell a sentence, but only some of the letters would be revealed if you knew certain languages. Bards are the only class in 3.5 to naturally get speak language as a class skill. I was playing a bard who took a feat to let him learn 2 languages for every skill rank he put in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we got to the puzzle, I looked at it and said, I don't speak Kuotoa.
And that's it.
And then he had to solve the puzzle, which was supposed to take us another month to finish. And then we stopped playing. I really like playing really good RPG games. I love seeing character development. I love being in that pure moment of satisfaction of really leaving my body and feeling as though I'm either helping tell a story or being part of a great group of friends. Mm-hmm. But I loved ending Joe.
But this brings a smile to my face.
Just imagine the Paladin sitting on his porch with the Thanos music going behind him, looking at the sunrise like, yeah, I did that. if anybody is curious as to how our game ended with the proposal to be girlfriends, the land was forever cursed, and then the second in the next game, the land was forever cursed, and then the game after that, we didn't finish because he started crying. So the Swallow Savior did nothing wrong. I'm sorry, bud. I think that's attached to your name now.
She didn't accept his proposal, so the land was cursed.
Yes. Sent a bunch of monsters after us. We almost died, and in the next session, he had to like try and retcon a couple of the monsters that he brought in because there was no way we could win, and then he just started crying.
Buddy. Noir. At least you saw it out, I guess.
And it was that hard man cry too. It's just it was good.
I'm gonna put a period on this topic and say that the best character that I've ever seen being made by anyone ever was my friend Conrad back in high school, who made a cleric named Father Oregano. And on the portion of the sheet where you describe their looks, he just put frickin' sweet.
That's a winner. That's a winner right there. And to move over to a new conversation, there is another question that we asked our guests that we have to ask you, which is, sure, you are God Emperor of the TTRPG community for one day. Anything that you want to happen happens. If you want a company to go under, they go under. If you want to, give billions of dollars to another company, then so be it. You are the God Emperor. Your will is our command. What does your 24 hours look like? What do you do?
I run a 24-hour Kickstarter and get $7 billion to make one book. Where all the art is just Baroque oil paintings. And I'm allowed to delete other people's Twitter's accounts.
You can delete whoever's Twitter account you want.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I want. I want money and I want silence.
Paladin, does my account get deleted?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
It's like a broad sweep of like, all right, first name, bunch of numbers, gone. Just a mass exodus.
Anybody that's used the words the Mercer effect.
Anybody who uses the words Mercer effect gets 24-hour ban. They can come back after a day. They're in the timeout corner. Anybody still unironically using Oriental Adventures, you lose your account. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Anybody using what?
Oriental Adventures.
Oh, is that an actual thing?
Yo, say psych. Yo, say psych.
He does. They don't know. They don't know.
Did I? Your innocence.
I know there was one in 3.5, but like they didn't remake it, did they?
Oh no, the 3.5 version is the remake.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Imagine if a bunch of white dudes and one black dude made a whole book where they had an honor system. Imagine if they made an entire book where you could be a samurai and you lost honor if you used a ninja weapon. Imagine if there weren't dragons, there were Asian dragons. Imagine, if you will, that they grabbed a bunch of Asian cultures, just grabbing here and there, and they threw it in there, and they painted it all underneath a Japanese brush. And if you looked at a map of what they used and put into the book and painted under a Japanese aesthetic, and a map of Imperial Japan when they were going around colonizing their neighbors in Asia, it'd be nearly 1 for 1.
I thought the Book of Vile Darkness was the not Book of Vile Darkness. There was a book in 3.5 that was wild. It was, oh god, what the fuck is the name of it?
I mean, the Book of Vile Darkness is a thing, and so is the
that was an official Wizards book, and it wasn't bad. Like it was interesting, but no, there was a book in 3.5.
There's a lot of stuff bad in Book of Vile Darkness. I will never say otherwise, but it did give us the nipple ring of extreme pleasure, which is arguably one of the most powerful items in 3.5.
Yeah,
it did take a slot, and it made you not feel any pain, so you could never be nauseous.
Yeah, okay, this is the Book of Erotic Fantasy.
Oh yeah, Book of Blue Magic. With, I think, the Magic Pimp prestige class.
The nipple clamps of damage reduction and shit like that.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah, that I remember I got my hands on that book and I was like, they can't be fucking serious.
But they were. They were serious.
But yeah, buddy, the 3rd edition Naruto Adventures is the remake.
Oh no.
It was being made, a lot of the writers said, hey, can we name this anything else? And they said no, because the first one was called Oriental Adventures.
I was really hoping. Okay, well, I'm glad there's no 5th edition version. I remember the 3.5 version. No, they didn't.
There was a Kickstarter.
No, there wasn't.
A bunch of people keep trying to make Pan-Asia 5e settings. The last attempt, I believe, was by a company called Jetpack 7 trying to make a book called Dugatai. And while everyone was mad at them, I'm the person who spoke with them personally to explain why they can't fucking do this.
Oh my god, you're fucking right. They did try to bring this over for 5th edition.
Yes.
Come on, y'all.
Hi.
No, bro.
I like how you asked a very lighthearted question. I'm just ruining your day. Look, everyone. He's learning.
No, bro. The latest this was brought up was February 9th, 2021.
Yeah.
On Reddit. And it says, does anyone else want an Oriental Adventures type expansion for 5e?
No.
I am currently running an East Asian D&D game called Lands of Yan, and I have so far been resorting to homebrew and whatever I can scrap up from older editions translated into 5th edition. To be honest, I just want Wizards of the Coast to man up and reboot Oriental Adventures. They can change the title for political correctness if they want to.
No.
And I'm seeing SJWs a lot in this chat. Like they use the term SJWs a lot, which I still don't understand how that's an insult as we're playing fantasy games. Kamigawa setting book win.
No.
Yeah.
You
know how much I would kill for an honest to goodness Japanese 5e setting made by a bunch of Japanese devs? That'd be fucking sick. But also, like, could be waiting around for a while.
It's the thing is, at this point, would you even want to? Because you know that the weebs could co-opt it in the worst faith possible.
I don't care what other people do with published materials in their games.
I guess, yeah.
People all the time ask me, hey, how can I implement Sina Una into my campaign setting? And my advice is, I don't know, and I haven't thought about it. To quote from Straight Outta Compton, they bought the motherfucking thing. They can do whatever they want.
I'm just so fucking upset.
But on that down note, do we want to call it quits for the day?
Yeah, let's end on a high note. Let's end on a high note.
Okay.
Let's end on a high note.
Let's try and end on a high note.
Should I start to read a few of the wondrous items in the book of erotic fantasies? I've got it up here. We've got the circle of sexual stamina. This ring-shaped object is worn differently by each gender.
Ring-shaped object. It's a cock ring. It's a cock ring.
Here, how about this? We have in incantations, we have a spell called 9 Lives Parade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what it does is it turns you into, it creates a fuck ton of cats.
Yeah.
I mean a fuck ton of cats. I mean the art for it has the cartoon cloud in the distance thing of like a moving swarm, and I get closer to gets defined into a fuck ton of cats.
Yes.
Right? 9 Lives Parade. And the writer who was working on it wrote in just had a throwaway line for flavor. It was like, oh yeah, and any bird or small mammal small rodent in the area gets eaten by these illusory cats. These semi-illusory cats eat all birds and all vermin in that radius. And then I said, hey, doesn't the spell go out for like a couple miles at the highest possible points? And they said, yeah. And I went, you want to just remove all birds in a wide radius? So of the things we've cut so far from incantations, it's remove all birds from an area via making cats.
I made a mistake.
What was your mistake, Noir?
I think I'm done for the episode, yo.
What happened?
He received knowledge about Oriental adventures.
No, it's not that.
Was it from the book of erotic fantasy?
You can't be reading that stuff, man.
Look, I was just like, there's a D100 chart for fun fantasy adventure ideas, like adventure ideas to get your players.
Here, how about this? My favorite thing on DM's Guild is the Sailor Moon supplement.
Nothing. I'll share it with you after the show.
This will go in the Patreon.
I refuse to end on a bad note, you cunts.
I can't. I'm done.
We did have a question in chat. What good things are coming in the future that you all can talk about? From AJ.
Oh, I've lost faith in humanity.
Sure, I'll answer that.
Answer the question, Paladin. Tell us.
I can't say the actual working title, but I'm leading a project to make a book called Shark World.
Shark World?
And that's all I can say about it. I'm working with a small team, including Noir, a book revolving around tarot cards.
Heck yeah.
It'll have a bunch of usable options for players and DMs, and it's all themed around treating the tarot cards as like acting roles. And it's partially because of part of the reason why Noir's on the team is because he made a thread ranting about prestige classes from 3.5 D&D on Twitter. I thought that was the fuck, and I love just how like passionate but also frustrated you got about wanting something so badly from a previous generation. that like I knew I wanted to hire someone who was already just feeling that forward about it.
It's just like it gave just I can't my brain I'm trying to rally.
No. Just let me talk for you. I can't teach people passion. I can teach people game design. I can teach people about different books and weird media. I can't teach passion like the kind of passion that Noir has when he's feeling good. Because he is a bubbly cherub of a man.
This broke me.
I'm aware it did, buddy. I'm aware it did.
Okay.
You really should have looked into it.
I'm excited. We're working on getting our new season for the channel put together. I just ran a really good game of Star Trek Adventures last night. My cast understood the assignment and executed time travel, time warp shenanigans to a T, and made Noir cry in the process.
I've never seen him not instantly laughing. I think the only time I've ever seen him like this is when I snapped at him when we played the game for the one and only time we did.
Shit.
What are you excited for, Noir?
I feel bad the episode that I'm on is the episode that Margot's
Apparently, Nora was almost crying because of the feels in last night's episode.
Yeah.
Go watch it and hire him for more games.
Yeah.
You should. I'm excited. Ooh.
Wow, he's fucking gone.
Wrecked.
Can't believe somebody would put this to paper and go, yeah, and then fucking it's a book and it's on the internet for people to read.
Can I tell you about how I discovered it?
Ooh.
So there's a thing called LimeWire.
Yeah. Here we are.
No, I'm kidding. I discovered it because we used to go over to our local game store, in-person game store. Back when going to those was the thing you did because you didn't have like proper internet.
Yeah.
And my father would always like shout out to people behind the counter, just shoot the shit and buy comics and whatnot. And I would just read whatever D20 book they had at the time in their catalog, because at the same time they had this D20 boom of everybody making whatever supplement they could, right? And I was just reading the books one by one. I went through Eberron, I went through all the different 3.5 books, and I picked up one book and I went, oh, there's like a nymph on the cover? What's this? Book of Blue Magic. I wonder what that's all about. Open up and internally, not out loud, internally went, that's a titty! Externally, I went, boob.
Boob.
And I closed the book, put it back on the shelf, walked over to my dad and said, okay, I'm good. He said, what'd you find? Just stuff I shouldn't have looked at. He goes, what, did you find porn? I think so. Which caused the person behind the counter to go, wait, what? And I went, yeah, I opened a book over there and there were new people in it. And they went, oh, fuck, what? And they went over, grabbed the book off the shelf, looked at it, and they said, what page did you turn to? I don't know, I just opened it. They opened it to the same exact page. I went, oh, closed it, put it behind the counter, and my father went, how much is it? And I went, what the fuck is going on? So somewhere in my dad's storage for his belongings, in his vast archive collection of some of the oldest D&D books in existence, including the original D&D brown pamphlet signed by the Gygax himself, there is the Book of Erotic Fantasy.
I'm going to show you a page in that book when this is all over.
Don't worry, I've seen it. Noir, look at me. Look at me, Noir. I've seen it.
The things I'm excited for. Next week, Rivals of Waterdeep returns. I'm a producer of Rivals of Waterdeep, so please support the show. I'm putting together a one shot. We gonna have Paladin in there. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a good time. Monday, Two Kings Guard is a show. You should check it out.
Did you age like a year?
I think 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, I did.
You sound like you've been through like 2 wars and just went.
I see some shit, man. Look, it's because they fucking. I get passionate about certain things, and one of the things that I'm passionate about is doppelgangers. And one of the adventure hooks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, it's not right.
No.
Not right, bro.
Buddy, you shouldn't have done this to yourself.
I'm so mad. I'm so upset right now. I do things around the internet.
Buddy, here's the silver lining. Here is the silver lining, bud, okay? You ready for the silver lining? I need a confirmation, buddy.
I'm ready for the silver lining.
Okay. Gwendolyn F.M. Kestrel, who is the credited author of the book, worked on official D&D 3.5 books.
No.
So at least it's mechanically balanced. But to my knowledge, she has not touched anything 5th edition.
Because this is upsetting.
Oh, is it?
It's a lot of these adventure hooks.
Hey, man, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Just don't.
Don't
do it. I'm not your mom.
Like, if you are really curious about Book of Rock Fantasy, just go watch some like 144p porn from like 2003. Same experience. Just don't look up the book.
But I think that's
Buddy,
been our
close the
show,
fucking
friends.
tab. Close the fucking tab. Wait, why do you have it open? Close the tab.
Oh God.
Noir, close the tab.
No.
That's been our show, friends. Thank you all so much for joining us. I don't know that we're gonna recover Noir back to.
Share my pay.
Okay, let me just look at this real quick.
Number 7, that really just did me in. I'm like, how did this happen? Who did this?
Didn't need that in my life, but there it is.
I'm so upset.
Yeah, you should.
Not a fan.
Close the tab, dude.
I closed the
It's
tab.
closed now. It's closed. I'm done. I can't. It's over.
It's done.
Buddy, just get day drunk now. Fuck it.
I'm definitely about to get day drunk. It's
like, just get fucking bliss, bud. Get some peppers.
I don't even have a game tonight because of scheduling fluies. So we just drink. Yes, fluies.
Bud, just get some puppers, huh?
How about puppers?
Fuck this hobby sometimes, y'all. Like, every now and then, there's something that you encounter that just makes you go, you know what? Fuck tabletop. This is one of them things. All right, I've recovered.
Okay.
I think I just
Bring it up
needed
on a
the
high
tab to be
note.
down.
Bring it back up on a high note.
All right, sons of bitches. We've got our Patreon. Go to it. Support us. I've got a GoFundMe to help me move to Canada. So if you don't want to help with the Patreon, donate to the GoFundMe so that I can get out of my horrid living situation. I am putting together a one shot. The only thing that I know right now are 3 of the people that I've discussed it with, which is now Paladin, you're in on it, Kadiosaurus, and Harley Kane. I want to see who else I can get on this one shot, and we'll put it together. We might even put it together here. Critical Misses. I'm just gonna put a needle on the spot.
Yeah, sure.
We've got a Call of Cthulhu game with the wonderful people of Bards and Barbarian. That's Diana and Justice. We also will be playing with Drac and their friend Emily. Very excited for that. Those are projects I can talk about. And also this tarot card project I'm working on with Paladin. I'm super duper excited. Yeah. So yeah.
What do you mean with? You're doing it's for, not with.
Well, for
I'm kidding. It's with. It's with. I'm saying it's with.
Listen, I just recovered the little bit of gusto I've got left in reserves. After this, it's all vodka for the rest of the day. If you see me tweet, fake vodka.
If you see Noir tweet today, he's drunk with like 3 N's.
Drunk.
I'm about to get turned. But remember, friends, never get turned on stream. It's not a good look.
Nothing has made me more sad than seeing a Call of Duty streamer just blitz out of his fucking mind trying to get headshots.
Says the person that literally did a drunken cover stream.
You know, I just found out you're not supposed to drink on Twitch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently it's against TLS or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
So I'll be doing a drunk stream tomorrow night. Find me. But
and then next week we're going to see Noir on YouTube Live.
For no reason.
And then Facebook Gaming, because he does something far worse.
Oh, God. I mean, as long as I don't say the C word, I should be fine. And I'm not talking about the one that rhymes with punt. I'm talking about the one that rhymes with racker.
Cookie?
That's the one that gets you banned. I'm genuinely, like your brain genuinely trying to be like, what C word rhymes with it? We're just punch drunk at this point. Thank you all for still watching. Holy shit.
I'm your other host, Anita. You can find me here Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Schedule's probably going to change pretty soon. But that's me. You might be able to find me other things. Follow me on Twitter.
Look at Anita's outro, too cool for school. And finally, we've got our guest.
I'm just tired.
Paladin, tell us where we can find you at, what you want to tell the people and all that good stuff.
I'm Paladin. You can find me as HTTPaladin on Twitter and Instagram. Don't find me on Facebook. That's fucking weird, bud. I got a book coming out soon called Incantations, a book of worldly spells, wherein someone said, hey, wouldn't ritual spells from 4th edition be cool in 5th edition? And I responded with, remember when you were a kid and magic was real? That's literally what happened. That's gotten far out of hand. I got an interview book I'm wrapping up soon called Polyhedral. And I got more books on the way because it's what I like doing. I get paid enough to keep doing it.
Hell yeah.
I'm not offended that I wasn't interviewed for Polyhedral. You know, that doesn't bother me. You know, I guess it's only people that are notable within the tabletop community, so I wouldn't fit that. No, that's fine.
Noir, you can either say psych or I can yell at you. Which one do you want?
Both.
So say psych.
Psych.
What fucking book have you made, bud? What system, huh?
I mean, I've been in books.
Yeah? Do you want to go down that route with me, bud?
Yeah, let's do it.
Mr. Stretch Goal?
My feelings!
Shots fired.
I mean, they had me on the actual play where they just made fun of me for 2 hours. Let me stop talking before I get my stupid ass in trouble. I'm gonna get in trouble.
Do you need a fucking hug there, bud? Like,
yes.
Holy shit.
That's the answer. It's always yes.
Holy fucking shit. They what?
We'll talk about that after we go off stream.
Yeah, I'm working on a tarot book where Noir is one of the mainline designers.
Yeah.
Because he's got a lot of passion and can learn how to make good stuff because he actually wants to.
Yeah.
Hire him.
And then you can bring me on an actual play, and you too can make fun of me.
Don't turn me into your den mother with this.
That's been our show,
Too late.
friends. Thank you all so much for talking with us and joining us today. And get your bears in order.
Oh shit! He matches my sweater.
He does.
Oh shit, he does. Oh, he matches my cloak.
And this matches my dress.
We did that on purpose, y'all.
That's been our show, everyone. Thank you all so much for stopping by. And Paladin, thank you for chatting with us. We're gonna have to definitely do this again sometime.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go on a raid.
Who we raiding?
Who we raiding? TTRPG, Total Party Kiss, Play Nerd Allies is online.
We can do Total Party Kiss.
All right,
Let's keep it consistent.
Send some love over to Total Party Kiss. Thanks, everybody. We love you. But until next time, the ritual has concluded. Bye.
Bye.